Okay.
It always makes you cry.
He made my punch list.
And that was our first fight. Time is a flat circle.
Like 2 people are gonna get this.
Ooh. Love kale.
Ew. I want him to crawl to me.
Now that was spicy.
Your Honor, I love him.
Gross. Why choose means you don't choose.
I want a third act breakup because I want him to grovel.
There are exceptions to every rule.
Trust me, I'm a father. Don't worry, Daddy's got you. Welcome to Chapter 7 of the Smut Daddy podcast.
Hey guys,
Hi.
welcome back.
I am your host, Father Lib, aka the Smut Daddy.
And I am your co-host, Sister Britt, and we are just 2 besties that met on Instagram, and now we talk every day.
Hi.
And you're here with us.
We hope you are all having a great start to your week. But before we get into our main topic, which is Fantasy Recs today, we are actually going to jump over and you're going to see us talk to one of our dearest friends. And she's the owner, founder, creator of Luna Literary Management. So welcome, Lemmy, to the stage.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome. So we are here today with, I almost said your real name, Lemmy from Lemmy Read Mo Books. Okay, I could always change that in post if we need to, but we are joined today with Lem, and she is not only one of our very best friends, but she is the owner, founder, creator of Luna Literary Management, which is fantastic, if I do say so myself as a loyal employee. I'm reading it off the screen. I'm like,
say it.
Yeah.
Gun to head. What are you saying right now?
How are you, Miss Lemmy Lim? How are you, my dear?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm tired. Look at me.
Just living the
I'm
dream.
like, you are a beautiful princess in between us, and we love you.
I mean, my hair is like this. It's dirty. Plus, the lower half is what I call like an outfit mullet. It's pajama pants and slippers.
Same.
So.
Same. And
Yeah.
don't even look at anything. Yeah, they're stained. Like, they're my sweatpants that are clearly
Pretty sure
comfy,
there's like
cozy.
cheese crumbs on my sweater, so it's fine.
What's been going on this week? You reading anything? Are you only working, or what's going on?
Only working. I did start Chasing Wild by L.A. Rose
Yeah.
this week.
Book one.
Because, yes, book 1.
I need to
just
do that.
because, well, Mo. And she made me read the last chapter, like the teaser chapter for Braving the Storm, and I was like, "Oh crap! I have to read this."
This is 100%
Yes.
for me. When I first saw it,
signed up for the arc, knowing that I was gonna
read
Chasing the Wild, and I was gonna want to read Braving the Storm. Like, that arc opened up.
As soon as I saw the tropes, I literally was like,
Right.
"This is a Lemmy special, 100%."
Okay, first off, I about peed myself when she filled out the Luna form. Yeah. So, okay, we'll leave that there. I was like, this is a different Elliot, right?
And then I made it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not real. And then when she emailed me the tropes, I was like, excuse me? And then I had to go back and look at the tropes for Chasing the Wild, because at the time it had recently released, so it was all over Instagram. And I was like, everyone was telling me already this would be right up your alley. And then I read that teaser chapter for Braving the Storm, and then I just made graphics for her this week. So it was reading quotes, and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to read these.
You wrote this for me.
Yeah.
You didn't even know you were writing it for me, but you found your target audience.
Age gap?
Age gap. Oh, you're
all the other
outnumbered
things?
today, Father Lip, with the age gap queens
no,
over here.
I'm feeling bullied by people that I'm in an age gap friendship with.
But really?
I'm kidding.
Really?
That was clearly a
Yeah,
joke.
fuck off.
Clearly.
Listen to us.
I do
wise
tell
ones.
everybody. They'll be like, "What about you and Brittany?" I'll be like, "Well, we're a 10-year age gap first and foremost." Because
I realized it was that much.
you'll never know, because I don't know. You either are thinking I'm older, which is fine, or she's younger, which is fine. So we're just
I think
meeting
it's
in the middle.
both. So you meet in the middle.
Yes, there you go.
What's going on with you, Britt? Anything going on reading wise, or are you just kind of chilling?
I am just in that lovely Arkel that is self-imposed.
I'm calling
Still,
it Arcageddon.
What the hell, you guys?
That's what
wild.
I've coined the term Arcageddon for all
Yeah.
Octobers.
October
prior,
is
present,
insane.
and future.
I mean, this week I had an arc that I did not sign up for
Oh.
find its way to my inbox, but I signed up for something
It wasn't from
else.
Luna, was it?
No.
Can you
I'm just
imagine?
like, here, Britt, you get out.
we're getting. She's like, I'm ripping us to filth without saying Luna.
No,
She's
so
like, this
I'll
moon one?
disclose this information. It's not a big deal. So I was a paying member of Sophie Lark's Patreon. I say the word wrong every time. I was part of that, and then she shut it down earlier this year, and she opened up her permanent ARC team to paying members to sign up. So I did, but she had I'm gonna forget the last one, that the written or something like that. She had a new series come out, and I didn't hear anything, so I just kind of thought like, okay, whatever, that's fine. I'm sure a ton of people signed up for it, and then all of a sudden this week Monarch hit my inbox, and I was like, well, okay then. I didn't have you on my calendar and my notebook, so I don't have time for you, but like it's there and ready for me. And I'm like, I haven't even gotten to Grimstone yet, but we'll see what happens.
I haven't either. I own it.
I own it too.
Yep.
And Anastasia and Minx, and I haven't read.
I've read
And the
Minx.
duet we
I
have.
haven't read Anastasia.
They're
I have a
like,
duet,
they're
like
like
a
one's white and
anti-hero.
one's black.
And the
Sinners
There Are
duet?
No Saints.
Yes.
It's really good. It's really good.
We have that on our TBR for this month. So
I always recommend that to people who like want to start reading like mafia or dark romance but are scared. I'm like, this is a good segue to like start testing waters
She's so
to
good
see
at that.
if you want to get into it.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to be darker than like Brutal Birthright and Kingmakers, or if it's lighter than that,
I feel like it's
or like the same. You know what I mean?
It's kind of the same because some of them I feel like some of them in the the Brutal Prince, all that. Some of them are a little bit darker than others.
Yeah, they progressively get darker.
Yeah, like by the
as they
time you
go.
get to Heavy Crown, we are in dark territory.
Right.
I'm excited.
But yeah, what
good.
about
I am
you,
loving.
Lib? What are you reading?
I'm also just in Arcageddon. And for me, I feel like I've been trying really hard to switch back over to ALCs, and I know it's hard with indie authors because they can't always do it, but like just with working and everything, and as like Theo gets older, I'm like, okay, like ALCs are working, but I feel like every ALC has been pushed back. They're all delayed this month so far, so it's making my like Arcageddon in October more stressful because they're like, here's the ebook copy, which it is nice, and I'm really glad that they can provide the copies for that. But then I am like, hi, I signed up for the ALC for a reason.
Yeah.
And I know they always give you more time, always. But I put the stress on myself to like get it up by the due date and stuff like that. And so I'm just like, okay, what's going on? And then I was behind a little bit on the air, so now I got back up to that, and I just been working, doing some Luna things. My
Keeping
boss
her
is
busy.
a freaking tyrant. No, I'm just kidding.
What an asshole.
She's like the worst. No, she's actually the
I really
best.
am.
I wish all my bosses would have been this chill. I probably would have enjoyed working a lot more as I was growing up. Okay,
funny.
so we just want to know about you, about how did you find romance, first and foremost, a little bit.
Gosh.
Like, what did you kind of start reading, and then what led you into Luna, and then if we can talk about, just your breast cancer, like, journey with your family, and the fundraiser, Books for
Yeah.
Boobies. I think that's kind of will be our,
I
like,
love it.
flow for everything. Me too.
I was saying it on this story on Instagram today, and I was like, I paused because I was like, but did I really name that Books for Boobies? And I'm about
Well,
to say
I always
boobies.
want to say it's boobies for books, but it's it's books for boobies.
Books
And
for boobies.
it is a little bit different, I feel like. One
know.
seems like you're flashing.
Yeah.
And one is the correct name.
Right. Oh God.
So
Anyways.
how did you find romance? Have you always read? Have you always been a reader? Okay.
Oh yeah, I've always been a reader. Like there's a home video and my parents are outside with my younger siblings and Mo is like, I'm gonna go talk to Lemmy.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, no, she's reading, leave her alone. Like, so I've always been like that. And like, I was
Way to go,
an
Mom, to be like,
right?
let that girl
For
read.
real.
She was probably like, she needs her time. It was either reading books or playing Barbies. That was like my thing. So
Yes.
and so I went in like elementary school. Accelerated Reader was like the jam.
Oh, yes.
And I was like one of those people who was like, it's cool to read and take a quiz
I'm
on
gonna
it.
get all those
and
points.
yeah, I'm gonna get so many points, you guys, because I can't play sports to save my life. So I'm gonna crush you with my reading
With my
knowledge.
brain.
Yeah. So I've always been a reader, and then like even out like end of college, like starting into like a career life.
Yeah.
I started hosting like a book club once a month, and we would
That's
all.
awesome.
It's actually starting back up this month.
I saw
I'm really
that you were
excited.
starting to get back
Yeah.
up, and we were jealous that we can't go because we're not in town.
Just come down here for a trip. All my
You're like,
friends
I
were
want
like,
a week.
Trip.
yeah, just for the night. All my friends were like, "Oh, we want to start this back up," and we read all kinds of stuff, so
Yeah.
it's just a variety. But I was like, "Oh crap! Now I've been in the romance world since like 2022, and so it's going to be hard to be like, oh yeah, we can read that sci-fi book. That's great. Is there
thriller.
Smut in it? Yeah. So, but when I started really getting into like all the romance stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, I've read 50 Shades of Grey. I read Sylvia
Yeah.
Day. Like, I read stuff. But
I
it
would say
wasn't like,
that, like, I did that too, but I don't consider that, like, my start, I guess,
No.
where there was no turning back.
Yeah, my start was T.L. Swan, The Miles High Club.
Yeah.
So good.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
stopover.
I read the Takeover. No, the Stopover.
Stopover.
And I was like, oh. And then I think the Takeover.
I mean, but the takeover is next, and it's.
I was like, the takeover is good.
So I read the Stopover and I was like, oh, I like this because I love an alpha hole, and
Me
T.L.
too.
Swan writes
Right.
them.
The best
You know?
alpha holes.
And so I was like, oh, I like this. And I think either the Takeover had just come out or was about to come out or something like that. So then I read it and I was like, oh, because my brain chemistry got altered, you know.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And so then I like went and never came back. And then I found Melanie Harlow, like Ignite just came out. And
Dex Matthews is something else. A
I
work
don't
of
even,
art.
I think I saw it like on an Instagram ad. I don't even know what I saw, but it was like single dad firefighter. And I was like, yep, okay,
Yep.
I want to read
Sold.
that. And then I was like, oh, so I have a single dad thing. And then I read S.J. Tilley's Latte Darling. And I was like, oh, I just
Oh.
have a daddy thing.
You're like,
in
I have a thing for.
general."
That's why I'm her favorite, folks.
Yeah.
She has a thing for daddies.
I do. I do. So I
We
was
love
like,
the
oh.
daddies.
Yeah, explains so much. And yeah, so and I never have.
Would
gone
you?
back.
I know Latte Darling is. You told me is the book you would grab out of a burning fire. Would you say that T.L. Swan, that series is still up there though, and like your all-time fave, or has it? Does it still hold its place, but have things outranked it now, or does it still stay up there? You think?
I mean, I think it's still up there because I feel like it's such a good series to recommend to someone who
Yeah.
like might want billionaire romances and alpha holes and like all of that. I feel like it's a good recommendation or like a good start if you want to see if you like T.L. Swan.
Yeah.
Because I read The Stopover and then I went and read all of T.L. Swan's backlog.
Yeah.
So I had read, up to this point, I've read all but one book, which is the new series that she has.
Yeah, I haven't read the new one either.
I didn't read the first one in that, so that's the only one I
I
haven't.
started with Dr. Stanton,
Is-
and then I was so in love that I was like, does she have anything else? And then I was like, she actually has a very great niche of alpha hole men that are so disgustingly awful that need to grovel. And I was like, hello, Libby.
Is the
I was
newest
like-
one Kingston Lane, or am I making that up? Or is that not the one you're talking about?
I really can't
Is
remember.
it
That
My
sounds so
Temptation?
Yes.
Yes,
That's-
My
that's it.
Temptation.
I think the
Yeah.
series name is Kingston Lane.
Yeah, I
Kingston
haven't
Lane,
jumped on
it
that
is.
I have
either.
it. It's like on my Kindle. I own it. I pre-ordered it, but I just
Wait.
haven't gotten to it.
The bonus?
No.
That? No.
Oh,
that one.
okay. Because
My
I read.
Temptation.
I was gonna say I
Yeah,
did
we
read
read
that.
that. Oh, yeah,
I
'cause
was
we've talked
going
about
to
it.
Yeah,
where-
and I
I
was
was gonna
like,
read that
yeah,
one,
because
but
we
then
did
I
have
did
some
not read
feelings
that
about
one.
it, but we still liked
Had
it.
some feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't read that one. But I
Yeah.
think she is really great. I always tell people to like, if you do not like if you hate, pretty much, it's not always because Britt has a one-off that she does like, but it's not like her favorite. But like, I would normally say like, if you do not like her book, then you won't like her books,
Right.
Because she has her
Right.
niche. She writes instead of writing a small town constantly, she writes men that are the worst that need to grovel, and that's where I'm like, but if I know what I'm getting every time, then I'm fairly okay with it for
Like,
the most
and
part.
she writes in such a formula that I'm like, I'm watching myself read on the Kindle. I'm like, okay, I know some second.
You're about to be angry.
yeah. Well, and I'm like, I know some second base actions about to happen at 30%. Like, I'm
Yep.
just like, I
You're like,
know.
and you know
like,
there's
yeah.
some fuckery about to happen at
Yeah.
the 40% mark.
Yes, I'm like,
But it is weirdly comforting because you like the
No,
inks and
it's
stuff,
coming.
but you know
Yes.
what the format is.
oh yeah. I'm like,
with
some
TL.
ex is about to show up, some parents about to walk in. Like, what's gonna
Drama
go
alert.
on?
I
Yeah,
know. That's
yeah.
why it's not Britt's favorite, but
It's
that's where
not.
you and I are like, hello, drama.
I appreciate the Miles High Club, and I think that's
most.
kind of where we're gonna leave it be for
Yeah.
T.L. Swan in my world.
Yeah.
So where did
okay.
you? So like you kept moving on, and then
Yeah.
do you think that you have like a permanent residence? We like to call it. Like I call my permanent residence small town land. Like I'm always
Yeah.
vacationing, but I like to stay in small town. Where are you staying? Like at these
Well,
days?
it's hard because I'm such a mood reader, and like
you?
I will go through phases. So I'll be like, some days my mood is a week thing, and then sometimes it's like like
Months.
a quarter, where I'm like,
Yeah.
I just read 96 dark romance books back to back, or then sometimes I'm like, I read one yesterday, so today I'm going to read, Small Town, and then tomorrow I'm going to read hockey. Like it's so all over the place. I'm
that
just
keeps
like,
it so interesting though for you.
it does,
Yeah.
and that's why when I'm organizing my bookshelves, I'm like, this is so hard because it's like, here it's pink and cute over here, and there's like dark and scary over here, and I'm like,
Do you
That's
have to
why I
finish
wrote
a
the rainbow
series?
thing was because I was getting
Yeah, I do.
frustrated. with
Well,
how
I mean,
the-
I just love the rainbow. But do you have to
Yeah.
finish a
Prove
full
it.
series, or are you completely comfortable with like I read 2 and I went and then I needed this and then I jumped back later, or are you all about like if we start it, we finish it?
If it's a new author and I haven't read any of their stuff, I like the series to be complete. So then if it's a new to me author and they're established, if it's a debut, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's like, because I haven't read Sloane St. James and I was like waiting for the Lake Hockey series to finish because I was like, I'm not going to start reading it. Now it's finished, but I haven't started reading it yet.
I waited
and
till they started
Sloane likes
coming
to
out
give
on
me shit
audio.
on it, but it's fine.
Yeah, Sloan. I'm on her ALC team, so I just waited till she started pumping them out for audio. So I think the
And the
fourth.
last
I
one comes
haven't
out
read
in
the last
December, right?
one.
Stand
Yep.
and
So we
Defend?
just got like a little reminder, but I mean, I'm with you. But sometimes it's just easier to wait till they're all out or in a format
I was like,
you can
I
read.
knew I was gonna binge them all, so
Yeah.
it's like it would drive me crazy to like
wait.
not be able
Yes.
to do it. And so, like, I actually went to the Readers Nashville thing. I don't even remember what it was called.
Yeah.
And it met her. And when I gave her the book to sign, she's like, "Are you going to read it now?" And I was like,
Called them out.
"Yeah,
Actually.
yeah." But I still haven't yet. But it's just because Luna's been crazy. But if it's a series that I enjoy, I have to finish it.
Yeah.
Now, it's been driving me crazy because Nikki Sloane's Nashville Neighborhood series, I haven't read Good Girl yet, or The Good Girl or whatever, and I'm behind on, like, finishing up some series, like K.A. Tucker released, like another for the Wolf Hotel series. And I have not
I
read
haven't
it.
read that
own
one
it.
either,
I
but
haven't.
I read everything else up to. I kind of
Oh,
thought
yeah.
we were done, even though I knew it
Oh,
was
I
like
did
left
too.
open. But then when she came back like years later, I was like, wait, what do you mean? I read these in
I
2020.
just started putting her on my TBR.
They're
'cause someone
good.
was
I
telling
really
me
do
about
like
her.
them.
Yeah.
Henry Wolf can get it, especially because he's written as Henry Cavill, so I'm like,
Yeah. Brit. He's Henry
Yes,
Cavill.
sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, she
So,
wrote him
done.
as Henry Cavill.
Yeah. I know. I love when people do edits for the series and they're like, clearly Everside is Henry. I'm like,
Speaking of
you've
Henry
done it
Cavill,
right.
I saw a funny reel of him on Jimmy Fallon talking about what he does for cardio.
Oh,
Oh.
when
Is
he
him
makes
just-
like the face.
Yeah, and he's
And,
like,
like the
you
audience
know.
knows
Yeah,
what he was
yeah,
talking
he's
about.
like,
It
they
took
know.
Jimmy a while.
His
I was
wife
like, oh,
is
hello.
such a saint. I do like. He's probably one of the only ones I will publicly like say comment. I try not to be like crazy, but I mean,
Right.
and your guys' DMs, I'm sending you guys thirst traps and stuff
Right.
of him. But his wife is a saint. I don't know. I mean, I know they're used to it, but I don't. That would be really hard with him. Out of all the
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
you're
because he
married.
checks so many boxes. It's like he's a nerd.
Yes.
He's hot.
Yes.
He can rock any outfit. It doesn't matter what he looks like. He can rock a cutoff shirt that I
He's
think
tall,
is gross with armpits out,
he's
and then he can
thick.
put a sweater. He's so thick. I'm
Like, and the and I like he
Just
was
wanna
who I was
eat 'em.
trying. I remember trying to tell Mr. Smut Daddy, like, I don't know, must have been when we were about to get married or date. I was like this is it. Like, thick is good. If you're
Yes.
Henry Cavill, thick, we like it. And then he was like, oh, I was like, like
Yeah.
rugby. Have you heard of
Right.
rugby?
Those thighs.
thighs. Yes.
I know.
Well, I'm
and
a
his
butt girl. I'm a
Are
butt
you?
girl on guys. Yes. Like I
so
love a big juicy butt. on a
baseball
guy.
players, you're probably like for their butts.
Yeah.
because they got
I
nice
had a
butts.
college
And
professor that had the
football
nicest
and
butt,
rugby,
and I was like,
I mean, all sports, honestly, they
Yeah.
do wonderful.
I mean,
Just-
it sucks though for hockey because like they're so padded you can never see their
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like, you can't pick a hockey player for their ass.
no. Well, and you can't really like. You can just be like, that one's tall, but then you're like, oh,
Right,
that's
and then you-
skates on. But they all have like a rectangle body because,
because of all their padding. I know.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen people be like, he's just so hot in uniform. What do you mean? I don't
Yeah.
think you're looking at anything.
They look like little Lego characters.
Yeah.
I took Mo to her first hockey game in
Yeah.
February because she loves hockey romance. That's the majority of the books she owns. And so I was like, oh, so we took her to a Predators game, like 5th row behind the like home team,
Jealous.
like behind the Preds, and like so she was like looking at what numbers she liked. So then when we got back to the hotel, she's like, okay.
You'll be
37
disappointed
looks
a lot
like
of
this.
time. Yep.
There were some that were cute.
There are
and then
some
it
that
was
are
like,
really cute,
well,
and then there
I'm
are
like-
some where my husband will be like, yeah, but his stats. Stop.
Stop it.
Yeah,
Do you
I don't
understand?
give-
Do you
That's not
understand?
what
Warm
we're
the
here
bench.
for.
Right.
I don't care.
Right. I'm like, no one's looking at his stats, honey. We're
No,
looking
I
at his
don't
fucking
care.
face. Okay.
Yeah, right. Is it writable? That's all I care.
Right. I'm like, does he look like an adult or is he one of these 20-year-olds
Yeah.
making millions, which hurts my
Right.
heart?
Yeah.
We have to do research. We do our research over here, folks.
I was like, oh, I was your teen mom, so
Right.
that's cute.
You're like, okay, we are going to make sure all the boxes are hit before we're just
Yeah.
running off into crazy town.
100%.
Do you like sports romances? I know we're kind of on a tangent randomly, but do you read them a lot? Or because I don't really see you talk about them all that often, which is fine. But
Yeah, I do read them.
Yeah.
Britt knows I love Garrett Anderson.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Gare Bear.
So, God, I
That
love
man.
him.
Love him.
And like, if I had to pick a sports boyfriend, like that would be him because, like, to me, he's
Hold
not
up.
even a book boyfriend.
Hold
he's a book
up.
husband. What?
There was a question box where you were asked to pick between Max Matthews and Garrett Anderson, and let's recall your answer.
I picked
You
Garrett.
did. So.
did you?
She did. I was
Like-
shocked. I slid up so fast. I was like, "Excuse me, say what?"
But,
Wait.
and I gave her like
Dex
a
doesn't
detailed response
play-
back.
Does Dex
He
play
doesn't
a
play
sport?
sports.
No.
Oh, you were
No.
just comparing two
Someone,
characters.
someone put
Oh.
a question box to
I
her
was
and
like,
asked her to
I
pick between the two. Was that
severely
Mo
lost
who
a-
said? I think it was Mo who put that question out there to you, and you were not happy about it. But
Yeah, I was like, don't call me out on this.
you made a decision, and I was a little shocked with the way that it went.
I know, because I think you messaged me and I like went and gave like a detailed response to you, like,
did,
here's
yes.
my receipts on why
This
Garrett.
is my dissertation on why Garrett Anderson was the pick for this
I was
question.
like, look, Dex set the precedent for me for loving single dad romances, but I was like, in the long run, like, Garrett is just everything I would want in a man, and I was like, sign me up, where do I marry him? Like, he steps out of book boyfriend into book husband, so I'm
Yeah.
like, that is
Yep.
like goals.
I rarely give out book husband categories. Like
Me
hardly
too.
ever. I hardly
Yeah.
even talk about it because people are like, "What? You're too picky." Correct. You're correct on that.
Yeah.
I barely give out book boyfriends. I'm so stingy with those, and I'm like, you are trying
that
to.
I give away freely. I'm like a hoe. In
I
every
don't. Well,
series. I'm
in
like,
my,
book
I feel like it's because
boyfriend.
we start to read so many that I'm like, okay, you've got to start
Yeah.
being a little more cutthroat. But
Right.
if you're about to like make it onto a book husband list with like Hudson Rothschild, which is the first book I ever, that's the invitation started my journey, and it was a single dad. Like, and you're trying to tell me that you compete with him? You're a liar. I don't want to fucking hear it. No, lies. So
Lies.
that's where my list is very short. I remember when I was adding Rowan Whitethorn onto it from Fantasy, but I was like, this isn't right. I don't think Hudson would like this. I was like, it had nothing to do with each other. But I was like,
my husband. Oh my
I was like,
god.
I'm pretty sure that Hudson's going to be pissed as fuck at me right now.
I give book boyfriends like every series I read, but like book husbands is more elite. But then I'm sitting here thinking like, I don't even think my book husbands would like even know each other because they're so odd.
Oh,
like,
they're so
and
vastly
displaced.
different.
Like they would never be in a room together.
Is
ever.
Latte Darling your number one guy? Or is it someone
Oh.
else? I know
If I
I'm
had
coming
a-
at you hard.
Axel Davis. He is a
Yeah.
He is a good one.
God, if I had to choose one person,
Like, gun to your head. Like, it's time.
if I had to choose one person out of all of them, gun to my head, Zeus, Garrow. Hands
Yeah.
down.
Love.
That's actually
Yeah.
really good. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure, so I'm surprised a little bit. I bet
I
you
mean,
some other
I
people
own
will
4
too.
different versions of that book, so that should
There you go.
explain. Well, same with Ignite, but I mean,
I do really like Ignite.
I know. It's just like an easy read, and like the kids
It's
in it
Oh
make
my
it
gosh,
just like
the girls
giggly.
and the magic and
Yes.
It's absolutely laugh out loud.
Yeah,
funny.
it's just
And
so cute.
The like bubble bath scene 100% lives rent free in my head. When people are like, "What are the funny moments?" Well, have you ever wanted to know what her butt looked like? Like everyone else knows what it looks like. Do you want to know?
Yeah.
I really, and then like Amy Dolls. I know we talk
Oh, yeah.
a lot
I
about
love
One
Amy.
Moment, Please, because it's just And that's one of my favorite accidental pregnancy of all time.
I mean, she's hilarious in real person.
And that's what you were telling me. Is it because I remember reading
twice,
that?
And like, she's just like, her writing is her. Like,
That's
it's just
great.
Which is the same with SJ Tilly. SJ's hilarious in real life. So I feel like that's why their writing is just like 10 times better, because it's them. Yeah, I call her my bestie, like, as a joke. Well, because Andrew, who's on the cover of Ignite, you know, he was in her book when it got turned into a movie. Wait for
Passion
Me.
Flicks?
Yeah, and so when we were at Readers Take Denver, like, I was talking to her, like, I went up to her, and then I have authors obviously sign my book to Lemmy, because I go by that name in real life. And
That's
when
how
I said that,
Libby is too.
yeah, when I said, it's Lemmy, she goes, wait, are you Lemmy Read Mo Books? And I was like, tinkle a little in my, yeah, that's me.
When they know your handle, isn't it just like a little bit like a, what do you mean you know me? You have so many followers. You know me? Is it because I'm psycho enough in your DMs that I've stuck out?
Is it because I'm weird? I know. I DM'd Melanie Harlow one time. I was like, please don't block me. From
But, okay, so you're reading. You're making incredible connections, obviously, with readers and authors and everyone else. And so how does it come from an idea in your head to, it's crazy. Everyone's talking about Luna in great ways. And tags, you have the best arcs, the best authors. We're always booked and busy. Like, you created a freaking powerhouse monster in 6 months. And congratulations.
Yes.
To you on that, because that's all you. That is all you. So please tell us, because it's crazy in the best way.
It's delusion.
You're like, it's my dreams and delusions wrapped in fun.
I mean, obviously, I work in marketing. I've worked in marketing for 10 years. So, like, I have an art degree. So that kind of creative thing has always been in my mind. And, like, I started Bookstagram just because I started more posting on Instagram books I was reading, and authors started following me, and I was like, I don't know if I want you following my personal page. Yeah. So I followed Bookstagrammers. Like, I followed Jen McMahon when she was a Bookstagrammer. And so I was like, oh, I'll just, like, post it and, like, for fun, make content, whatever. And then I started making more and more and more. And then I had authors be like, hey, could I pay you to make stuff for me? And I was like, excuse me?
What's that?
What? And they're like, yeah, I'll, like, pay you money or, like, send you books. And I was like, I'll take books. Yeah, sure. And so it started like that. And then I was an ARC reader, and I just felt like there was some disconnect with especially like super indie or like debut authors. Like, I just felt like they kind of got pushed to the side, or like not a lot of attention. And I was like, there's something missing here. So I had been bouncing around the idea of like fall of last year, like just thinking about it, and I had started saying stuff to people like here and there, like, what would you think, like all of this kind of stuff. And I had authors like, no, if you do that, like, I will sign up tomorrow. And I was like, okay. So I started working on everything. My original goal was to not launch until like the end of May, beginning of June of this year, but I had an author that was releasing in July, and I was like, that's just not enough time for me to like get stuff set up and like start sharing stuff. There's going to be like 4 followers. So I pushed everything early. Like, that's why my website's made from Canvas. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to go with it. And started off, like, a few authors started signing up, and I got excited. And then it kind of snowballed way quicker than I thought it would. Because I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll post like these 2-3 people that really want to work with me. And then like maybe by October, I'll have like, you know, a steady, maybe like 6 authors. LOL, over 50 now.
I'm like, how about closer to
I was like, what's the number now?
Yeah, a lot.
Because you're incredible. You are incredible.
Well, thank you. It's been like, sometimes I'm like, is this real? Like, I don't know.
Curious, did you have like so many authors being committed before you even launched?
I had one who definitely was like, yes, I'm ready. And so like her author announcement came pretty quickly. And then I had a few others who started to be like E.L. Stevens, me and her had talked like when I was bouncing ideas, and she's like, do it, like you need to do it. And so I was like, okay. And so she was one of the first ones who signed up. And I mean, Casey Brooks, like I met her at Readers Take Denver. Like, she had literally just come on and was like, we met at Readers Take Denver in person and like all that kind of fun stuff. So it started off like I had like a few people very early on come on, and then like obviously I and Lexi Wood's PA, and at the time I wasn't her PA, but she's like, yeah, I mean, obviously you're gonna do it if you do it, like I'm gonna have you do my books. So like I had like a group of people that were behind me, and then it's just gotten crazier as the time's gone.
I mean, but easier to pull the trigger and launch when you have already people ready to go and wanting to.
Well, and because I thought it was going to be such a slow start, I was like, oh, well, at least they're on, so like it builds some type of momentum, because I literally did not see how this past 6 months have gone. Like, that is not what I thought would happen at all. Like, I'm forever thankful, but I'm still sometimes like, what in the actual hell am I doing?
It's overwhelming.
It's like, I have a full-time job.
Yes.
And then full-time job number 2 is Luna.
Yes.
So when I started Luna, I still worked from home full-time. And then I shifted and like started an office job at the end of June. Yeah. So it was like, I'm basically MIA 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So I'm doing stuff early in the morning, or I'm doing stuff late at night. That's why sometimes when I'm waiting on an arc to send out, if an author is like, oh, I'm sending it to you in the morning, but they send it to me and I'm already at work, and I'm like, oh crap, well, it's gonna have to go out like this evening. Yeah. And then people are like, hey, where's the arc? And I'm like, hey, I'm at my other job right now.
Yeah.
So
There's only so much that we can do.
Only so many minutes in the day, people.
Yes. Like, if I go take a long bathroom break, like, maybe I will, like, go hide from my boss, because I share an office with my boss, too. So I'm like, I guess I gotta go make it look like I have tummy issues to go send out an arc. Like,
the sacrifices that you make to get arcs out.
Come on now.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just like, it takes 10 times easier.
Absolutely. I think so. Well, and I think sometimes though people don't realize all the steps that go into what you have to do behind the scenes, like, because you are watermarking, and I know that you do all your due diligence for stock photos and the stock websites, and you're always uploading stuff and changing content around, so you're killing it. You're doing so great.
Yes. No, you helped me so much, because it is a lot, because I wanted to do things a little bit differently. So it's like you get an arc drive with stock photos and currently reading graphics and all of that kind of stuff. I just think it's easier, because I can remember too, and like some authors do have Pinterest boards like as inspiration and like all of that, but like if you're not really doing it and you're winging it, sometimes it's so hard to, like, I'm such a like moody person, and it's like, what is this like even vibe like gonna look like, you know? Right. So, and then like trying sometimes, especially because I know so many people are in arc hell right now, the amount of emails I get like last month, and so far the 5 days we are into this month, being like, hey, I signed up for way too many arcs, so I might be late, and I'm like, first off, that's really fine, because been there, done that many times to myself, but they're like, it just helps everything go smoother, because you're not having to dig for 500 stock photos.
Well, and it's so nice when they provide the title JPEG or PNG, whatever it is, like the blurb, the tropes, like all of that extra info is so nice to have in one place and not have to like,
that's my job. I love praise.
Instagram and scroll and try and find it. It's nice to know that you have one place to go.
It is, and it's like that's all like Lim though, because I have worked with so many, like done arcs for so many other ones, and then when you were showing me how we were doing things, I was like, this is the best thing ever for my brain. Everything that's important is right there, because we're doing 100 books like in 3 months of reading, like a lot of us, and like, and I don't have time to do that for every single book, for every single person, for everything. So it's awesome. You do so good with it.
Thank you.
With, I guess there's not really the gentlest transition into the heavy, but mental health. And I know you've been going through a lot right now because of everything that's been going on with your mom. So this is fully up to what you're comfortable with and what you want to share. But do you want to talk to us a little bit about that, and so we can hype up and talk about the fundraiser before we wrap up?
No, definitely. So the day before I started my new job, my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer.
Did she know, like, was this something that they were like, hey, we need to test because things are leading, or was this kind of blindsiding for all of you?
So my mom has recently lost a lot of weight because she got diagnosed diabetic last year, which we had a feeling it was coming anyways. My grandma's super diabetic, and my mom was just kind of like, I have a feeling like I am. Yeah. And so she got put on, I never can say the name right. Like, that's okay. It's not Ozempic, but it's like the other one that's help for diabetics because everything was out of whack. She was on so much medication to, like, you know, help regulate everything. And so she was like, she started on new medication, and she was like, I'm determined to just start being healthy. And like, she goes to Pilates, she walks a bunch of miles, she lifts weights, like she does all kinds of stuff. So she had lost a lot of weight, and actually the day of her annual mammogram was my last day at my previous job, and I worked from home, and I was gonna have to, like, basically all I was doing that day was packing up my laptop and taking it to UPS. So she was like, we live in Memphis and there's only one Trader Joe's, and so she was like, hey, do you want to go with me to my mammogram and then go to Trader Joe's? And I was like, hell yeah. And we were talking on the way there, and she was like, I'm afraid it's going to hurt because, like, I've lost so much weight. Like, all of her chest was just fat. And so now she was like, I'm a totally different bra size than I was before. And so, like, she went into her appointment, she came out, and I was like, did it hurt? You know, because I was like, I want to know. I've never had one. So, and she's like, actually, no, it didn't. She goes, but they did say that there was some things that popped up, but they figured it just because she's lost, you know,
a lot of the weight,
pounds, like whatever. So like the tissue in your breast is going to be completely different. So like we didn't really think anything of it because I've known people who've had incidents like that. They go back for like a follow up, and it's like, oh, yeah, everything's fine. So we didn't think anything of it, and like literally like 3 hours later, they're like, hey, we need you to come in next week. And so that kind of started the uneasiness of like, is something wrong?
Quick too, like they didn't want to prolong anything.
And so she went in on, like, that was a Friday. She went in on Tuesday for like a full ultrasound and everything. And they basically told her they're like, I'm just gonna be really honest with you, like, this looks like a tumor. And so we were on edge through the whole thing until she got like another follow-up, like from, because that was like the ultrasound tech that told her that. She's like, I'm just looking at the shape of it. I mean, you're literally going to a clinic where it's all for breast cancer, so like obviously they know what they're looking at. And then she got more details, you know, from the actual doctor, and it was kind of like, we need to do a biopsy. Then the biopsy came back positive. So it was like, I couldn't even tell you like how many doctor visits, because it was like, you need to go do this. Oh, you need to go do genetic testing. Oh, because you have daughters, so they need to be tested, and like all of this kind of stuff. Because it is wild how much that carries through your DNA. I mean, it could be generations of women with breast cancer. And we never knew her biological dad until we've just recently found out information on him. So he died of cancer, but he had lung cancer. So it was like, and then his kids were like, you know, he smoked 3 packs a day or whatever. So it's like, well, okay,
that makes
like,
sense.
you know, whatever. And so it was like, all right, so this was kind of like, wait, what? And it's like, I don't know his full family medical history. Like, we don't know what you could be carrying that could pass down to us. So she did a full genetic testing. Our dad actually is doing one, because we're then going to do it. Because both of my dad's parents have cancers. I'm like either making morbid jokes, or I'm just like, or I've been kind of more in like an anger mood. So I've just been like raging. Like sometimes I just get in my car and I'm driving home and I'm just like screaming in the car, because I'm like, it's just the anger about the whole thing.
You're just not fair. It's never fair. And you are handling it so well though, even with the humor and everything, because it's so hard. I feel like we probably all know someone, or someone that knows someone that has it, but when it finally, which it sucks, but like when it comes into you so directly, I feel like it's like, wow. I didn't.
Because like both my dad, it's not like the C word scares me, because I've never witnessed it, because my Nana did die from cancer, my Papa has it, but like they both were heavy smokers, and like
there was like a contributor to it.
I had like 2 grandparents that died of lung cancer, but they smoked 3 packs a day at one point in their life. You know,
and they said, well, you smoked for all these years, of course, like this is why.
Like, I mean, they ended up both with like bladder cancer, but it was because you're heavy smokers, you know, and it's just resulted in all of this. But
when
it's
you
like,
get someone who's healthy or relatively healthy, or has really never had any serious problems or substance abuse, that's where I don't understand. I'm sure you're like, I don't understand. How did we even get here?
I mean, and that's been the whole thing too. Like sometimes my mom's like, I just don't understand. And like, she wasn't having any symptoms. It was a complete blind side of everything.
Did they catch it early? Like, are they saying it's stage 1? I don't know if they're giving that or not.
They originally staged it, but this is another thing where my dark humor comes in, because my mom had to be special and get some weird cancer.
It's not funny. It's just
I know. I'm like, she goes, of course it'd be me. I was like, you'd never just be normal. Like, we had to be extra. but like because it was like at first it was like in her like milk duct area, I guess, or whatever, but it was like closer to the edge where like your lymph nodes are. Yeah. So it was like, okay, well maybe it's new. Yeah. Well then it's like now it's kind of been like maybe it's been there and there was just fat tissue covering it, so it just never got detected. Yeah. And then there's sometimes where they're like, it's like a slow progression cancer, and so we're like, okay, cool, and then sometimes they're like, it's not. And we're like, okay.
You're kind of in this like back and forth land right now.
Yeah, they originally had diagnosed it like a stage 2, I think it was, but it is now, I don't think they've staged it anymore because once again, she had to be special and it gets presented in front of the board because hers is weird. And they like told her that we don't really understand it because it's like giving two different sides of the coin. Like it's not giving us a clear picture of what it is, which is just so scary because you don't know. Like we have no idea. And it was like,
I didn't know that you couldn't have cancers not be staged until my dad's best friend. He has a really rare skin cancer, and it's never been staged. But it's like so rare, like only like literally 10 people have it, and one of them is in small town Ohio. But I remember I was asking him like, okay, like is he gonna be okay? Like what stage is it? Did they catch it? No stage. What do you mean? Yeah. Like, but he's fine now in remission. But it's so scary too because that makes it seem even like, what do you mean? Like something has to be categorized. We're categorizing.
And I think that's right. And I think there was so many terms that like are not used anymore, or like you just assume get linked with cancer. So it's always like, what stage is it? And like, when will you be like, you know, cancer free? Right. Oh, and then you realize, oh, someone's really never ever deemed cancer free anymore.
You're in remission.
Like, that's not a thing. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, well, they don't always stage it, and it could be, you know, like then it was like my dumb butt was like, oh, so it's just like breast cancer, like that's it. Right. But it was like, no, there's like 4 different versions based off of your hormones alone, like how it tests, and I'm like, what?
And it
like,
can bring in other problems. I'm sure it's been so much for you guys. Just like information overload, honestly. It's probably so...
And thank God Lexi Woods is the angel that she is, because, you know, Lexi in real life is a nurse and she deals with cancer research. So immediately I was messaging her.
I bet a little, like, was way. Yes. Just to, especially because she is like such a close friend too. So it's a trusted source, not just like someone you know who is a nurse.
She literally sent me like all these book recommendations for mom to read that was like on cancer, but also like your mental health and like all of that, because like for a while that's what I was more concerned about, was like the mental aspect of it all. Keep her
spirits high so that she can keep fighting and doing whatever to get into remission.
And I was like, Mom, it's okay to be sad and it's okay to cry and be mad and all of that, but like I can't have you like that 24/7 because my mom's never been that kind of person ever. Yeah. So it's like I can't deal with that if you're like that, because I'm gonna be like, what?
This is crazy.
This is Twilight
She
Zone.
feels bad about everything. Yeah. Like, I will be like, the other night, I could never go to sleep. And I think it's because I distract myself with work during the day, Luna at night, and then when it's the moment I lay down that my brain's like, oh, hey, your mom has cancer. Yes. I'm like... So
I hate anxiety.
The other night,
like I know it's so obvious, but like I hate anxiety because it's different. But that's exactly what my brain does. Why can't you just shut
creeps on
up? Like as soon as I lay down, even though I was falling asleep in the chair in the living room, I got in my bed and you're like you're the worst. Like you're worth. Like my brain just like starts going on repeat. It's exhausting.
That's what happened Thursday night, and I never went to sleep. I couldn't go to sleep. I literally built a bookshelf.
Because you would rather be physically tired than than any more mentally because your own brain doesn't turn off.
Yeah. And my mom's like, why do you think that is? And I said, well, Mom, it's probably because when I lay down, my brain starts being like, hey, your mom has cancer. Or I'm having now dreams about my mom having cancer. Yeah. And then she's like, well, I feel awful about that. I'm like,
it's not your fault. I mean, it's just life.
I don't feel awful about it because you're my mom. Yeah. Like, you know, like, there's
and
just,
then it's hard because you don't want to, like, be completely vulnerable then with your mom because you don't want to bring her struggles down, but I know you are very close with your mom, so I'm sure then you're battling because she's always been an outlet. I'm sure it's so much. And I know you probably feel like it's crazy, but you are handling it incredibly. There's no right or wrong way to handling it, but you are still positive and you are happy, and even when you're angry, it's like we know that's not how you are all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
You are doing so incredible. So many more people really would have shut it all down. Not gave in because which doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just goes to show you how strong you are, that you're like, I can compartmentalize a little bit to help your own mental health, which is nice.
But yeah, no, I mean, I've been pretty good. I haven't cried as much as I thought I would, which is a Lemmy thing. I internalize to the T. But this past week, not this weekend, but the weekend before that, like last Friday is when we were told that she's gonna have to have like a horrendous amount of chemo and radiation. And I broke down Friday, like in front of my parents. Because my mom's 59, so it's not like she's old in my eyes.
No.
Right.
And
Not
she's
at
like,
all.
You know, I'm gonna try to fight this. And Dad said, you know, it's up to me what I do. And I said, not to sound selfish, but
like
you're
doing,
get the fucking chemo.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
You're doing everything, Mom.
And
Yeah.
I'm
I
sure
need
so
you.
young.
And I would like my mom a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
So-
are this, like, you are the same age as my older brother and sister, because they're twins, but our parents are, like, the exact same age. So I'd be saying the same thing. Like, you are so young. No way you're giving up.
No. So I'm like, yeah, you're going to do that. And then, like, I went to the bathroom and my mom was in there and I just, like, started crying. You know?
Yeah.
I was like, it sucks, you know. And then, so Saturday, I was going over there because my parents have, like, a huge attic, like, walk-in, 2-story attic. It's, like,
Wow.
it looks crazy. And so I keep all my, like, holiday decor there because I'm not going into my pull-down attic that's in my garage because I swear to you, 900
What
raccoons
in the
probably live up
garage?
there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I will let all the raccoons and squirrels and whatever else wants to live up there. You can have a freaking party.
Peacefully,
Because
yeah.
I'm never stepping foot up there. Also,
I don't blame
my
you.
ass would fall. So I would be like, and then she died in her garage alone.
That was already haunted.
Yeah. So I just keep all my stuff at their house because I can like literally walk into it and grab my stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was driving over there last Saturday and I was like, I feel useless. Like there's nothing I can do. I have to sit for the next 6 months and watch my mom go through chemo. And so I was like, what do I even do? And so I was like, okay, well, Breast Cancer Awareness Month literally is about to start. So I was like, what can I do to like bring awareness while also being like, hey, support people.
Right.
Supporting my mom, like whatever.
Learn more about it. There's clearly so much to still be learned.
Yeah, because I feel like I've learned so much. It's just been like, holy mess. Like,
Yes.
it's crazy out here. Books for Boobies popped in my head.
Books for Boobies.
I've chatted with a few people. There is a girl that follows Luna. I'm pretty sure her name's Katie. She actually works for Susan G. Komen. And,
That's incredible.
Nice.
yeah, she had, like, breast cancer is very close to her. Like,
Yeah.
family members have dealt with it, like all this kind of stuff. She carries genetic genes, like all kinds of things. And so she has been an amazing support through this whole thing because the moment I posted about it, she was in my DMs like, please know I'm here if you ever have questions or just want to talk or want to scream or like whatever. And so we kind of like bounced some ideas off of each other and I was like, okay, I think this is what I'm going to do and just share awareness because I feel like when corporations do it, it's kind of like, you know,
For a quick
gay
buck
pride.
to
They're
be
like, we'll just
pink.
put rainbows on everything.
If
and then
we
it's
make
like, that's
everything
gay pride.
pink,
And like, that's not how it works, okay? Yeah, we should be doing this stuff 24/7,
All the time.
365.
Correct.
But
Yes.
like for the moments where it's highlighting this, like let's take it because like I worked for companies where breast cancer awareness was their big thing. Like my super corporate job, we made paper cups because I have really cool jobs, and we made pink cups with pink lids for coffee companies for Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And, like all that stuff just over my head. You know, I just absorbed it. Oh yeah, on this Friday we can wear pink. You know, whatever. So then I was like, what can I do that's like cute, like a Luna cute thing, but also like, hey, here's information. Hey, go get checked. Or if something's wrong, fight for yourself. Like Emily McIntyre's whole journey has been such an inspiration. Like she is a fucking hero, but her honesty and like her openness have just been so, like I've learned stuff just from watching her.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it's like nothing like crying over a stranger who, I mean, I love her books, so it's like whatever, but like crying over a stranger going through something and like doing it so like raw, you know, like posting videos
so
of her
gracefully
crying,
still.
or posting
Like,
videos of her, you know, scars, like all of that kind of stuff. I'm like, she's so badass. Like,
Yes.
I just adore her. And so it's like, what is something that I can do? So this kind of came up. So I was like, okay, every
Books
Saturday.
for boobies.
Books for boobies. I was like, I can share, statistics.
Yes.
Information. Like there's one Saturday that's the statistics are on, breast cancer in men because
For
it
men.
can happen in
Yeah.
men too. Yeah, and I mean, like, the statistics obviously show, like, women in their older age, but, like, as time has gone on, it's getting more frequent in people, because, they're like, oh, your mammogram's at 40, but it's starting to get more frequent, and actually, I found out when my mom went back for her mammogram, she was just talking to the nurse, nothing was of concern, and she said, oh, I was just talking to my daughter out there who's 34, who is just like, I think we should have a lower age for mammograms, because I was talking about Emily, because me and Emily are the same age. Me and Emily, like, we're friends. But I'm like, she had to fight for testing because she knew something was wrong with her. But I was like, what if you don't? What if you're 34 and you have it, and then you wait 6 years and you have no symptoms, and you go in at 40 and they're like, hey, you're riddled with cancer, so we
Right.
can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild. Because I know people my age that have had other kinds of cancers and had full hysterectomies straight out of high school. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's not normal, but it's happening younger and
It is
younger
happening
every
a
year.
lot.
So it's like, the nurse actually told her, a lot of insurance companies, if you are like not in your not 40, but starting to get closer to that, you can actually fight your insurance, and they're allowing, just depends, but you can
But
file.
you shouldn't
and you're
have to
getting
fucking fight your
mammograms before
insurance
you're
for
younger.
that. Like, that's like
Yeah,
where
that's
I'm just like,
crazy.
Lord have mercy. This is.
Yeah.
But it is good information for people to know, because this is crazy.
Right.
So
I mean,
you
you
were
have to be
been
your own advocate, but it just sucks that you have to do that.
Oh yeah,
It-
100%. But I mean, that could be a whole welcome to medical in
Right, in the United States.
But,
Yeah.
Lordy.
I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's wild, but
So you've been gathering, a lot of the information and stuff. So what led you, let's talk about the fundraiser. So like, what led you exactly to it? And can you explain to everyone exactly what it is? Maybe tell us some of the things they can do to help donate or participate in some of the prizes?
Yeah,
I think that
so
would be
I was
fun.
like trying to think of something, and obviously Susan G. Komen is well known, and I didn't want to just be like, hey, let's donate to Boob Fundraiser.
Yeah.
Like I wanted something that was like legit, who does stuff out in the community
Mm-hmm.
and brings awareness to everything. So I was like, that's why I decided on that. There's actually a link to a fundraiser page if people just want to donate directly, and I'll give you that. I haven't shared it publicly yet, but I set
Yeah,
it up.
we'll definitely link that
because
below.
Yes.
I will be sharing it like closer to the fundraiser
Yeah.
and everything too. But basically, I was like, okay, we're all readers. We enjoy all kinds of stuff. Like, what can I do to help people want to like raise money without being like, hey, here's a GoFundMe or here's the link to a fundraiser. So basically, it's kind of like going to be like you're going to purchase raffle tickets for giveaways, and we're doing like baskets.
Yeah.
There's actually going to be a website it's on and all this kind of stuff. So you can buy like 10 raffle tickets for, basket, and they're going to have cute names, but right now
Yeah.
it's like basket number 1.
Right.
And then that will you'll have 10 entries.
Entries
that,
for
and then
whatever
I'll
that
try
is
to-
curated.
Right.
That is so
I'm going to try
great.
to have that all up a few days before the 26th, and then on the 26th, we'll be picking the winners for the raffles. Like, there'll be a cutoff time of the day.
Is there a way that people can donate baskets if anyone asks us right now? Or are you good on stuff? Or what are you still looking for?
So I was going to just pay for everything out of pocket because I was like, I don't know what.
What?
And I'm not that person to be like, hey, do
Do you want me to do it? I will.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I spend all my money. You can't give me a candle for a good cause.
No, everyone's been great. I mean,
Look me in the
a lot
eyes
of
and
the
tell me
Luna
no.
authors are donating.
No, that's great.
We have our Facebook support page that we
Yes.
communicate with them in. It's like, I tell people, I was like, it's like a support group.
It's a support
where you
group.
just talk about books and stuff. But I posted in there, so a lot of them have been like getting with me and they're sending stuff.
That's so great.
And all of that. And then I've actually had, because the first couple of posts, I tagged my Bookstagram page because I know there's people that don't follow, one or the other. And I had authors like reaching out to me that like I've never talked to be like,
Oh,
hey,
that's
I
so
have
wonderful.
books being sent to me from the Netherlands.
That's
so
incredible.
cool.
That's so
lot of
awesome.
books
Wow,
in
there's going to be
Canada.
something for everyone then.
Yeah, so that's going to be like why I'm having everything kind of sent here, because I'm bundling it all, because there's going to be all kinds of different books. You know, we have sports romance, we have, you know, Abby Millsaps is donating, you know, her new series.
Yeah.
So like Why Choose Girlies, like all of that.
Hey, girl.
Brit. Like all of that. So it's going to be like a little bit of everything.
No, that's so great.
And then I'm starting to buy stuff because people are like, well, I would love to donate, but I don't have a pink book. And I was like, I don't care if you don't have a pink
Right.
book. Like,
Yeah.
So I went today and bought some like cute stuff to put in there that's
That's
pink.
so
then
great.
Each basket will have like pink stuff in it,
Yeah.
but it's not like whatever. And then there's been some like small book businesses that are donating or creating stuff too. So Tori with
We're
the
giving a
Bubbly
special
Bookshelf.
donation to an author.
You're
a
what?
podcast spot. I'm like, we're giving a
Yes.
podcast spot to an author.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for reminding me. That was
Yeah,
my.
I'm like, oh,
There's no
I did that
pressure.
yesterday.
But if you do want it, it's still here. That's our contribution.
But yeah, it's been great. People have been like, whatever I need.
So cool.
It's gonna be super fun. Hopefully.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. I know not because of what's happening, but because it's going off so well with it being, you know, all so new. And it's going off great with everyone trying to donate and come in. It's so good to see too.
Yeah, because I was like, I thought of this on September 28th. So
And it's
Within a
great.
month.
You're
Yeah.
doing
great,
awesome.
let's hustle. So hopefully, and then I'm telling people use hashtag book.
Oh, yes. I'm like, what else? So use hashtag books for Boobie and tag Luna directly?
Yeah, and on our website, on Luna's website, there is a link. I created a Google Drive because every Saturday has a theme.
Yes.
And so if you want to share those statistics and details and all that, you can download and share on your page. Or if you just want to use that to make your own, the logos on there, like all that kind of fun
Perfect.
stuff.
Yes,
So-
send us that link so we can link that below so everyone can have easy access
Yep.
to everything. And we will also link just all of Luna's stuff and your personal. And thank you. Thank you for coming on and talking to us about this. I know it probably was hard and got a little emotional, so thank you for trusting us and coming on. And
Of course. I love
we love you, and we are so glad that we could at least get you on here and talk and give our little contribution to it too. We're excited.
I know. I was like, I feel popular. I'm being on Liz and Brits.
I'm like, I am. You tell Mo I'm going for that cowboy basket. You look her dad in the eyes and you say, Daddy is coming for it.
She'll probably be like, I'm ready to fight you.
I always tell authors that, like, can you fight? Can you fight for your main character? Because I can. I can fight for him. Thank you. You are wonderful. So we are going to link all of that stuff down below, and make sure you guys go check it out. And then October 26th, right? That is the day of the fundraiser. So make sure you guys are ready for that and go get all your raffle tickets. Thank you so much. We love you.
Love you, Lem.
You will be coming back on too.
Absolutely.
Who else are we going to have on for a
questions asked.
taboo themed episode?
My
Except
stepbrother love.
Step
that you had to call
siblings.
out
family
for everyone.
fucking coming soon. We hope you all enjoyed us chatting with Lim and learning a little bit more and getting all the information for the Books for Boobies fundraiser. So make sure you guys check out all the links down below. You can head over to our podcast Instagram page, any of her links and everything for the fundraiser on October 26th will be there. So, are you ready for some fantasy, Sister Brit?
I am ready. I am ready to just be your co-host for sure. Like you're gonna, this is gonna be Father Lib's show to run, and I'm just gonna
Okay, listen,
over
I
here
may have like
supporting you.
I may have a small fantasy addiction. Our video watchers looking like small. I do. I love fantasy, and I think even though I didn't really realize it until like I was meeting people in the book world that I've always been in fantasy, but it was mostly like movie TV land for longer than I even realized. All of my favorite shows, fantasy. Everything I love outside of this is fantasy and wonderfulness. So it's interesting that I did take so long to jump into full fantasy land in my reading, like 2 years, pretty much, besides Michelle Hercules. But boy, I'm never fucking leaving.
She is here, and she's
my
happy
second,
to stay.
when people are like, what's your permanent residence? I'm like, okay, small town. And they're like, any seconds? Fantasy. We just fantasy. Listen. And that's actually a perfect segue for what we want to talk about first, which is like small town fantasy light by one of our really good friends, E.F. Watson, which is Witchfished, and her newest one, Bamboozled. They're really good. I would definitely consider them fantasy light, wouldn't you? Like, a good introduction to fantasy worlds, but you're definitely in like a small town, cozy kind of fall vibes setting.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's definitely cozy. And these are novellas, but they're still like a full story. I don't feel like I'm left hanging. You know what I mean? And there are standalones, but interconnected novellas, right? That would make sense.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out if I got the wording right.
I think you did it right.
They really are so good. And I feel like you do learn a lot of the good basics of fantasy and like how like typical lore with fantasy goes. Book 1 is like a witch and a werewolf. So you have forced proximity forbidden because you're not normally supposed to cross. And there's like an underlying mystery going on through the town. And that one's really good. Oh, and she has a familiar Amity who's hilarious and puts her right in her place like the whole time. And then with Bamboozled, I actually got to beta read it, and I won't lie, I'm a little bit biased probably because I have a thing for vampires. But that same, I just like, I don't know if anyone was wondering about what's going on. Anoki is the female main characters from book 1. Sorry, I didn't say that. Anoki and Rex with her familiar Amity. And so book 2 is her best friend. And then, the name literally just left me right in that moment, which is horrible. And Cal, who is the vampire. That's like, of course, that's who I'm remembering. Student professor.
Ooh.
Naughty. So it's like
forbidden.
So now we're like expanding the town more. We are getting the college and we're getting more of the mystery, which I thought maybe it would honestly wrap up a little bit more, but she opened it up further. So now I'm like I think a third one could possibly be coming or something because we don't have all the answers in a good way. So I'm excited. And that one's coming out on October 18th. So honestly, it either just came out. Yeah, it just came out right before this episode. So you guys can go find that one everywhere. Kindle Unlimited and Amazon. The paperbacks are cute. I really like the character art that her friend draws for her. So those are my little fantasy light introduction.
I love it.
And I guess, this will be a little bit of a heavy topic for me talking in the beginning, guys.
That's
sorry.
All right.
But I wanted to start with some like young adult. I'm trying to progress us here into a little bit dark to get to the end of darker and like fucking heavy emotions. But one of my favorite fantasy series of all time, I would say, it might be like my second. It's really hard. Things get really, probably my third. Third. But it's surprising because it is young adult. This is 100%, I tell everybody this, 100% young adult fantasy. But like, don't let that deter you if you like fantasy. That's what I want to start with. If you like fantasy and you like romance, you like to read books to like actually read for romance and the love and the pining and the angst, like these are the perfect book because they're like 18, 19-year-olds set in what I believe is like a downtown Chicago type setting, but it's historical. Ooh. And they're not, they don't say that it's Chicago, but the way it's described and the way everything's happening, everyone's pieced together like, okay, we think we're in Chicagoland. But this is a war going on between two magical gods who you don't really know too much about except they are real and the whole city is fighting and it's crazy chaos because there's wyverns and these gods are pissed as fuck and there's no rules and everything's a little bit chaotic. But then you have these two kids who are in kind of like this, like a, what's the word? Sanctuary city? Like,
yeah.
They work at the Oath Gazette, and the Oath Gazette, they're like, they're allowed to be in the war. Like, yes, things could happen, but you're not supposed to try to kill them. Like, they're trying to report on both sides what's happening in the war. And so they work at the Oath Gazette. And they're enemies. Like, they've always been enemies. She's very smart, but she's poor. And he's extremely rich and also smart. So he doesn't understand why she's so good at everything when she's poor and doesn't come from money. But she doesn't understand why he's such an asshole when clearly the whole world's been handed to him, even within everything going on. And I don't know how to describe it. It's just so good. Like, you could even take the fantasy element out, and I would still read it without Smut because of how good the writing is. I mean, obviously the fantasy is fantastic, but I don't know how to describe it because I want everyone to give it a chance, because I know some people hear young adult and they're like, no, straight away, no. But I'm telling you, it's so good.
It's been a long day, but have you said the title of the book yet?
Yeah, I said Divine Rivals.
Did you? Okay.
I don't remember. If I haven't, hi, Divine Rivals. I can't remember. It's been a long day.
It's been a long fucking day, you guys.
I'm just getting the hype.
Monsters, but
why are they such monsters?
Sorry, so that could have been my bad, but I was like, what?
I thought I said
built
it, but I
leading
also
up to
couldn't.
it, but we'll never
Divine
know. Well, you'll find out in
Rivals.
post, but
Yes.
Divine Rivals.
I'll have to put a note in or text you like I did not say it, or like I did. Divine Rivals, which hooks to Ruthless Vows, and they are a complete duet called the Letters of Enchantment series. So with all that going on, and I know that's a lot, and you're like, what do you mean there's more? But that's why it's so fucking good. You're never bored. There's always something, but it's not like too much where you're like, what in the Crescent City book 1 first 28 chapters is going on? You know what I mean? So all that's going on, and you learn that Iris Winnow is she's so poor. Her brother has been sent to the front lines, and her mother is a not very good functioning alcoholic. Like, she's working because she has no choice. Like, their little shithole that they're living in is because it's from her paycheck, from the oath. Their mother is useless. Tragedy. It's tragic. And one night when she's trying to figure out what to write on her typewriter that is left from her grandmother for her next expose, she throws, like, she's pissed off and she's just writing. She's mostly just pissed off because she misses her brother and no one's able to tell her where he is, and no letters are arriving to him. He's missing in action. He's a missing soldier in war. So she just writes, like, where are you? And she, like, rips it out and throws it under her wardrobe. And then, like, 5 minutes later, another paper shoots out. And it's like, well, where are you?
Oh.
And so then you're instantly hooked. Like, whoa, what? Chronicles of Narnia? Like, you're like, okay. And this whole story starts to develop of these two people falling in love through this typewriter while everything else in the whole world is going on. And clearly, spoiler alert. And then it comes to find out that it's him. It is Roman C. Kit, the man who hates her, the man that is her biggest enemy. And he loves her, and he figures it out first. And then he's like, well, how can I make sure it's okay? Not to hide it from her, but because I love her so much, I cannot let this affect anything else. But then papers get sent, and they need people on the front line that are reporters. And Iris says, well, I will go because I want to find my brother. Where is he? And Roman follows her when she doesn't know. And there's just epic love. And he's going for her. And there is this scene, I know we were talking about it last week with Lena, where one night, and she was running on the beach.
Yes.
And I've always loved that. But there is this epic scene, like I said, spoilers, epic scene. My favorite scene of all of these two books, where Iris is sitting in the watchtower of the house, like on the front line, like little house, and it's her job to look at the field because you're watching for wyverns because they are the main attackers. And she starts to see someone in this field, and she's like, there's an idiot in this field. Like, there is literally an idiot walking in this field. And then all the sirens start going off, and they're like, holy shit, wyvern attack. There's a wyvern attack happening, and there's an idiot in this field. So she doesn't even know who it is, but she's the best person in the whole world. So she starts running. She's like, I will go run to him. I will cry. And then he thinks she knows it's him. So then he drops everything, his typewriter, everything. And it's like, Iris, like, I'm running for you. And then she's running halfway and is instantly pissed. Like, what the actual fuck, Roman, are you doing running right now? And she tackles him, and they, like, do the roll. And there's this crazy wyvern ahead. And they kiss, and it's just like, I'm like, oh my God. And like, I think sometimes what I really do like about young adult is they do kind of fade to black, and then when they come back, like, they are in it. And there are times where I appreciate that and I love it because, like, we have had the build up the whole time. They were falling in love even though they didn't quite know it. He tells her rather quickly once he's here, you know what I mean? And for it to be like in it, and then we're in a new land now because now we're both on the front line. And there's this traitor and all these things. And that's still book 1. And it leads up to like a crazy a crazy cliffhanger. I had no idea it was coming. I 100% did not even think about there being like a traitor amongst the mist. And then it goes right into like book 2. I mean, we had to wait a while, but like going into book 2, and it's about finding each other again. Like, you know, we love each other now, and rings have been exchanged because we know that the end of the world is coming. And so we are now married, but Kit is gone. One of the gods takes him at the end, and we find out that Iris's brother is a traitor working for the wrong god, kidnaps her and lets Roman like get taken, and now they're trying to find each other, but she has both typewriters. I want to reread it right this fucking moment. I'm like, I will get
you
off
are doing
this.
A great job of selling it because I still have not read it yet.
And I'm telling you that I didn't even spoil like heart. Like I might be the little bit of the ending, but not in. You still don't have all the pieces. Not a single doubt. And there's so much more beautifulness. And I tell everybody that it is probably one of the most beautifully written stories that I've ever consumed. I don't even know how you write a story so beautiful. I would say like a second one that's actually recent that comes close but is not there is the In Between by Lauren Roberts from the Powerless Trilogy, where we get that really sad novella in between. That is a truly like tragic, beautifully written story, but I don't think it comes close though still to what Divine Rivals is. I've never read any more of Rebecca Ross, but I am curious. It also scares me because like, what if, you know what I mean? What if this is it? Which there's not like, that's a problem, but I love it so much that like, I know I'm getting like I have like my little typewriter tattoo spot, you know, like there are things that will be happening and it's done. It's complete. You know, we get an ending that is exactly what this story is. And I don't mean that like in a scary way or anything. It's just like you're reading this story. And then when you get to the ending, which it is an HEA. I'm not recommending something that's not. But it's not like an HEA across all fronts. And I think that is like something that is great about fantasy as well. It's like there are sacrifices. God, it's so good. I haven't reread it in a while now. So if I have time, because I am kind of busy, like just with my own comfort read schedule for November, I might squeeze it in. But I really do recommend it to everybody. Like if you like fantasy, number one, this is a fantasy-led story. I mean, like there is romance and all these other things going on, but you're learning about fantasy.
But that's not the main purpose of the story.
So I think it's so good. And if you've ever wanted to read something that was Fade to Black, but that didn't leave you hanging in a way where you're like, damn, they should have fucked, I do really think that not a lot of books can check that, and this is definitely one of them. I honestly can't think of hardly anything else that I'm like, okay, we're cool. Except like what? Fourth Wing, but you build up to that in book 2. You're not building more than what you're already getting. I mean, you are, but not where it's still more than Fade to Black. You know what I mean? So I love it. I really
get
hope.
what you're saying. I'm excited to read
I'm
it.
like, I hope you guys, I love it. I don't even know how she did it. I really want them. There are a lot of times where I'll be like, please don't make that into a TV show or a movie. Like, let it be its thing. Live. And the way that I can just so vividly see it, because it is historical. Like, I know it's fantasy, but it's 100% a type of historical. Maybe not 1800s, but we are back. Like, the way their clothing is described and everything, you're you know, they're like mobster time, but it's magic. It's like awesome.
Sounds a little Peaky Blinders-esque.
Yes, I was trying to think of what it was. Like HBO needs to pick it up and do it for sure. Oh, I would drop everything.
And
to
that's
be behind
by
that.
Rebecca Ross, you said, right?
Rebecca Ross. Yep.
Does she have a big backlog, or is this?
I think
new to her?
This is her newest ones, but I believe she does have like maybe 6, even maybe 8 other books, all fantasy, I think. Okay. I do think she writes in this fantasy realm.
These are the only 2 that I've ever recognized with her name.
Yes.
So.
I've only seen, I think, a couple more because like I follow her and I see other people. But I want to say that the other biggest series by her before this was something about like river. I know that's not very helpful, but if you type in like Rebecca Ross and then look for a series name about like river, that was her biggest one before these. And I think
maybe I'll have to give that one a try. You know, my thing about the name River.
Yeah, I know. And I know it is fantasy still. So, but I think until like once these came out, she even said like these took a whole new leg of her world, which I'm like, good for you, girl, because
Yeah.
I found these like when they were coming because I was like doing everything else and I was like, what is this coming out? And I was like, what is that?
What is happening?
You left me with a cliffhanger. I would like to hear, honestly, I'm really excited about this because I have only read them once and it was long, long, many moons ago, like middle school. So I'm ready for like a little Harry Potter talk.
Yes.
And honestly, a little refresher on ACOTAR, which people are probably like, what? But like, clearly. I couldn't even have room to put it up here, and I knew it was your thing, and I wasn't going to steal your thunder.
I know, and I didn't bring all my books out. I was like, should I move
that's
all
okay.
my books? But instead,
Don't
I
even.
just put my dresser that Libby made me. So,
And I feel so honored when you show people.
I know our visual viewers can see my homemade creation over there. That's beautiful of the drawers.
Farrah's dresser. The
Yes.
book accurate.
Yes.
Book accurate, folks. I see you making your things, and they're not. I see you.
This is very accurate. Going back to Harry Potter, I am obsessed with Harry Potter still to this day, but I'm not your like average typical Harry Potter reader where I did not read it when they were coming out when we were growing up, like it was coming out when I was in middle school. Were you alive when they were coming out?
What, honestly, tell me what year they came out. Do you
Shit.
remember?
In like the mid-90s.
Okay, so I was probably like just born.
Okay.
Because I know like my brother and sister, they were the ones reading them. So because they're about your age or a little bit younger than you.
A little bit younger than me, but yeah. So I
So
remember
they were
them
probably
coming out in middle school.
Maybe
but,
by like the third book, they were probably reading it. Because
Yeah.
I didn't read it till I was in middle school, which was like 10 years later.
Yes. I was not one of those people reading it. I didn't have anything against it. I wasn't one of those people being like, oh, it's magic, it's terrible. Like, I was just like, I had no interest in it. So I was
Were
just
you reading at all back then or not really?
nothing beyond what was, like, I almost said prescribed.
For school?
Yeah, what is the word I'm trying to say?
Homework.
Homework, yeah, but, like,
Given.
given homework. Yeah, Lord, you guys
Handed
need a
out.
nap.
There should be a word, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a word, and it's not coming to me. But so no, I wasn't a big reader back then. I read what I was supposed to read, and I was like all into TV at that time, like up until I started reading recently. Like something was on TV and popular at the time, I was probably watching it, but reading not so much. And then I do remember, this isn't when I started it, but when I was in college, my boyfriend at the time and I would go to a small town just south of Champaign called Savoy, and they had a movie theater, and you could go for 2-for-1 movie nights on Tuesday nights. So for $6, we could both go to the movies. And
those were the days.
It was a bargain, you guys. It was so good.
Those were the days.
So good. So
$13 movie tickets. Sorry, $13 when I already have social anxiety. Get the fuck out of here.
I know. It's ridiculous. So for $6, we would go and watch.
That's
a movie,
honest. I'm like, wow, incredible.
I'm a cheap date, you guys. So we would take turns.
I'm like
every week.
another random one. Sorry, is remember when you could go into a drive-in for like $6 for the whole car?
Yeah.
Hide people under blankets, then like 100 people
trunk?
get out.
Yeah,
Then
fine.
you have a clown car, but it was $6.
Yeah. So we would flip flop who got to pick the movie, and you didn't get to argue. Like it was free reign. If it was your week, that's why I got
So
to
did
see
he
The
pick or
Grudge.
did you pick?
Libby, that was the first time I saw that stupid ass movie. I don't just scare you guys.
I gotta fight this boy.
I know, but anywho, so he picked Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix that had just came out, and I did not say a word because it was not my week to choose, and I was going to get him back the next week with the rom-com, so it was fine.
Oh, the rom-coms.
And so I was trying to ask a couple of questions during the movie, but I hate when people ask questions during movies. I'm looking at my sister. That is to you, Brienne. Like, we're watching this at the same time. I don't know what the fuck's happening beyond what you know. So, like, anywho. But I was asking, like, a couple of questions, but I didn't want to be annoying. And we get out, and he's like, wait a second. Why were you asking questions? I was like, because I've never seen or read Harry Potter. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, have we not discussed this before?
You're like,
He's like, I cannot believe that you have not read or watched Harry Potter. So I jumped in at Harry Potter and Order of the Phoenix movie. Still no books involved in my life. Then during my senior year, that was when the very last book, Deathly Hallows, came out, and I had to come home for something, and he was staying at college, and the book came out, and like him and 3 of his friends went to Target and got the book at midnight and stayed up and read it straight through. And I came back and like they were still like reading, and I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, I just did not
Cut to
comprehend.
years later, us being like, oh my gosh, it's 3 a.m. We should just keep going at
Just
this
keep
point.
going. Just one more chapter. It's fine. Then I meet my husband, who was not my husband at the time, and he was just like, we really need to go see Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, I think, was coming out. And I was just like, okay,
Sure.
fine, sure.
Did you
whatever.
tell him beforehand?
I did, yeah. I was like, I've never read these or watched them. He's like, well, maybe you should try. So before I watched Deathly Hallows Part 1, and then before Part 2 came out, I went back and watched all the movies.
They're
and then I
so
read
good.
all the books. And then I got caught up basically at that point to see the movie of Part 2 come out. And he's like, this is really not kind of fair, because you didn't really, like, I had to wait, but I didn't have to wait too
You're
long.
a cheater, Britt.
And so it was like, that's all she wrote. And now I have multiple tattoos on my body that symbolize Harry Potter, and it just makes me happy and feel joy. And the other night I actually turned it on, not book one, movie one.
Movie one.
It was just nice to like have it playing in the background, and I fell asleep to the music, the soundtrack. It just
Absolutely.
like brings such warmth and joy to my life. And it's young adult. Like there's kissing and stuff going on, but there's
I would
it's-
consider that young adult 100%. Like
and like the first
16.
two
I mean, like,
are
you know,
very young,
Yeah.
and then
I
the
feel like
third
you
book,
could get, like,
Azkaban is when they start to get darker and progressively
up
get
until
darker
then,
as it goes. But
I know this is like, you know me, I love random things. Please tell me what house you think I was sorted into, if you remember,
I'm like going back and forth between like 3.
and what you think my favorite book/movie is, because they are one and the same.
I
So
think-
keep that in mind. I'm just saying, because you
I
have
think
to pick
you're
a
a
book.
Slytherin and Half-Blood Prince.
I wish I was cool enough, but no. I actually have
You got
always
the
100
T-Swift snake going on. Come on.
I know. I wish. That's why I wish I was cool enough. Because also, like, they throw all the
Reputation
dope parties.
is your fave.
I know. I kid you not. From forever, I've tried, because I didn't even want to be that before I realized Reputation. I've always wanted to be Ravenclaw, and I've never been sorted into anything other than Gryffindor. And honestly, I think it pisses me off just a little bit, because like it's not like it's bad, but it's like I was like, but Luna.
It's the typical.
I'm like, but Luna, what do you mean? My best friend is all the way over there. And then Reputation came out, and I was like, I think we should try again. Slytherin. They're
But
like,
your movie is still Half-Blood Prince, right?
Okay, this is where you're going to laugh at me, because you're like, how are you not going to know? But I just can't remember the name of it. But I know exactly what happens. It's the one with the trials.
Oh, the Triwizard Tournament is during.
But people always get mad at me, and they're like, of course it is because of Edward Cullen. No, I picked a favorite book. Then a random guy got picked for that movie, and then he became a vampire. I don't control how that timeline works, but I will confidently say from my whole life, the trial games has always been my favorite. And I think everything I read fantasy now can 100% back
I actually
that
had
up.
to look it up. I was having such a huge brain fart because I was just thinking, Triwizard Tournament. I knew that name, but it's Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire. Okay, I thought that's what it was, but I also didn't want to feel like an idiot in case there's a nerd and is like waiting out there to be like, wrong.
Right.
But
It's late. Okay, give us some grace.
I mean, I know all of it, obviously. I read them, and my brother is like one of the biggest Harry Potter nerds I know. And same with one of my cousins. She had a Harry Potter themed wedding. So
Love it.
But I did just want that on record that everything I like to read now, for the most part, is like a war-based fantasy or trial game, death games. So like, it's literally always been written in the stars, folks. It has nothing to do with Edward Cullen. He dies. Can we just, it's like, why would you pick that as your favorite, even if you wanted to for that?
Poor Cedric Diggory.
You get
Fellow
nothing.
Hufflepuff.
I wanted to be anything, honestly.
I was actually so excited to be Hufflepuff. Like, and
I know people
me and
are
that
like,
Badger, I am like, I wear you with pride.
and I know
like,
people
I love
are
it.
like, it's fine. You're a Gryffindor, like a legacy. Guys, I'm so much cooler than that. I am so much cooler than that. You know, I feel like I have been set up for failure. Look at me. I am so clearly a Ravenclaw. It's pissing me off. It doesn't matter, but anyway.
But Luna wears her lion head with pride, so
Pride.
she is right there with you, Liv.
She
okay,
is the best.
I
Like,
love her so much.
I
so
love her
much.
so much. And I remember when I was reading it, and I was like, "What a like peculiar type girl." And then I remember when we were getting the movies, I was like, "Oh," or like whenever I was watching them, I was like, "Oh, I bet you this character is not going to be cast very well because like, how do you cast someone like that?" And
They
then I was
nailed
like,
it.
I was like, you guys nailed it. I've never wanted
So
to be.
good.
I want to be her. Like I know that's weird, but she was always the one. They're like, oh, do you want to be Hermione? No.
No.
I want to be Luna, and I want to
Luna
see these.
Lovegood, please and
Luna
thank you.
Lovegood. I want to see these weird death creatures and the cute horse, dead horse. Like I just want to see them all. And not that they're bad. I know it's bad when you have to, but she's just so peaceful and Snow White-esque. You know. I was
She
like,
is.
wow.
Yeah, she's still a badass. So,
Oh,
God,
she
I love
is a
her
badass,
so
but
much.
She is. Sorry, I know that was a little tangent, but man.
No.
That's all I really have to give
I'm
about.
gonna keep going on the Luna Lovegood tangent because when I was reading the start of Starlight Cove with
Mm-hmm.
Defiant Heart and Luna Lancaster's introduced and I am like,
Hi,
hello, Luna. And I'm like, as I'm reading, I'm like, oh, this free spirit who's chaining herself to a tree sounds
Right.
very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Brighton, I was like, this is like Luna Lovegood coded, right? And she goes, no. And I was like,
So she
but
just-
are you sure? Because I'm pretty
She's-
confident that it
maybe
is.
you just have to write all Lunas the same.
Yes, and
'Cause
I'm
of
like,
their
maybe it was
names.
just written in the stars that Luna
Yes.
was going to be written that
Every
way.
time we say
so.
Luna, my cat Luna gets a little bit closer. She's like, hello?
You wanted me? But no, I still, to this day, could pick up Harry Potter, and when my oldest was in the NICU, I took the books to the NICU, and I had them
I
on
love
my
that
chest
picture.
for kangaroo care and reading. So it's just an emotional, joyful thing that makes me
Yeah.
feel happy, so. And
I
it's
love
always
it.
going to be that way. But yeah.
Now tell me about the thing that's now consumes your life every day
Oh.
of forever. But I just want to let everyone know we are doing, they probably won't come till the new year, I would say, because I feel like that's where things will calm down a little bit and it will allow us to do these deep dives. So we are talking about ACOTAR, obviously, Brit is, but we will be doing a full deep dive episode on it, led by Sister Brit, and then we will do a full TOG episode deep dive, probably led by me. I mean, we obviously both read them and have input, and especially probably TOG, more so both of us, since we did that together. But if you're like, whoa, you skipped over things, or you didn't mention anything at all, or feuds, or any, you know what I mean? It's just like, the deep dives are coming. I want to make... We're going to say fuck the bookshelf that day. We're going to be making full-flown fucking graphics. I'm going full criminal.
Bring out the calendar.
I'm going crazy. I'm like, you see this string? So it goes here and here and here. And you guys are going to be like, we've lost it. She's completely gone
lost the
crazy. So, but I'm just giving you guys that warning. The deep dive is coming. It will be led by Sister Brit, but these are her most highlights and important information she wants you to know now.
Yes. So I read ACOTAR for the first time last summer, and I had
Same, but we did not know each other yet.
we hadn't met each other yet. That is right. So I had seen it on my algorithm, and like, so I knew it was there for months, and I was just like, no, I'm not ready for it yet. No, I don't want to do that. And I think the main thing that held me back and why it took me so long to do it was because I knew that I would be obsessed and that it would take over my life, and I wasn't sure I had the capacity for more things to take over my life. So, spoiler alert, I was right and it happened, but it is like brain altering chemistry, like greatest thing I've read fantasy wise, but I'm a very fantasy basic bitch and don't have a lot of experience with it, so it's a smaller library to choose from, but I love it. I have an emotional tie to it with sharing my thoughts for the first time really in the book community and like putting putting out those and having people actually interested in wanting to know what I was thinking and to experience my journey for the first time. Like you can't read it for the first time ever again, but boy, is it fun to watch someone else read it for the first time.
Yes, I understand the hype of it all now.
Yes, and so I feel like I now get it. Like I'm like, why do people care about my reading this series so much and wanting to be tagged in my updates as I put them out there? Like, okay, whatever. And as I'm going, like, and I'm that person that is in book 1. Drinking the Kool-Aid and falling for Tamlin and thinking like he's great.
You guys, have you ever seen Beauty and the Beast?
I know.
But I will honestly give you the pass because you were newer and you're in this land altogether.
Yes.
With your romance. But I definitely will always toot that horn, and my mom can attest because my mom read ACOTAR before me. And I was like, this bullshit of a man with blonde hair. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, what in the Beauty and the Beast is going on? And so I will always hold firm. I didn't know who we were going to. I will be completely honest. I do think one time I thought it was going to be Lucian. I was like, we are getting played. Like, you know, but I knew it wasn't going to be that blonde tampon. Get out of here.
Tampon. So like I was like fine with him up until we got under the mountain, and then the asshole does nothing. And then when I thought that he actually did do something, I'm like the epiphany of like, oh my god, he sent her the music under the mountain to like make her feel safe and like
no. Girl.
And I was just
girl.
like,
me
what?
As I'm literally about to flick off my shoulder.
I'm just like, I swear, I don't care what anyone says. He could have like mustered up the magical strength to send her some music to give her comfort.
Girl, did you even think for 10 seconds that he wasn't fucking someone else at the time? Probably for some sacred ceremony. He was busy, you know, and I'm like, you don't give 2 fucks about her wearing a loincloth under the goddamn mountain drinking some fairy wine.
Yeah.
Girl, I would have been drinking the wine too. Let's be honest.
Yes.
I would have literally been so trashed off that fairy wine if that was my situation that honestly they would have been like, listen.
I'm a beer drinker, but I would have been chugging that wine every night.
Reese would have been like, you're an alcoholic. I'm like, until we get out from under this mountain, damn straight. Do you want another lap dance or not?
But I loved the Death Games plot part of it. I loved all the little people that
was a good one,
but the little
too.
bits of things that people did to help her with, like Lucian's mom. It was just those little things I loved.
Can I just say that I didn't see that coming, I guess. So it's not like I got the whodunit wrong, but I was so invested in book 1, and a lot of people hate on me for saying that. I would say book 1 is very high up in my ranking of ACOTAR, like of the series, because of the Death Game plot. It's not because of Tamlin. That's how much I love a Death Games plot, and I didn't see her dying. Like, I literally screamed out loud listening to the audiobook, and I remember pausing it and calling my mom and being like, you're fucking with me. Why? Yeah, the same type of voice note you got, I called my mother when you try to be like, you should just read this book, and then when you get to this book, it's okay. And I was like, oh. So I remember calling her and being like, you did not just recommend me this book, and she's dead? She's dead? And I said, and I said, and these fuck ass men on either side did nothing. We have 2 perfect men doing nothing. I mean, Tamlin's not perfect, but you know what I mean. I was like, for real, Mama Smut Daddy? And she was like, you just have to hit play. Like, you're almost done. So I did, obviously, but I was like, what in the action? But then I was in it. I mean, I was so in it, but I was like, we just kill people? But then, you know, I was on guard for the rest. I was like, this bitch, Sarah J. Maas, I was like, she has no care in the world for your feelings. And boy,
None
did
whatsoever.
we start learning that the hard way.
Yes. So yeah, then, I mean, it set it up beautifully. It hooked me right
really
in.
did.
Akamath, Mist and Fury is just one of my all-time
It's so good.
comfort reads. It is so good.
And we are both in agreement of what our favorite chapter is, which is not always the mass majority, we've learned.
Correct. We're talking about 54.
I was like, if you would like to tell the people.
Because I remember going into it, like, trying not to see spoilers, but you're just, like, scrolling and things are coming across. And I kept seeing chapter 55, chapter 55, chapter 55. And, like, those funny, we're going to have our husbands read chapter 55. And I was like, okay. So I'm, like, thinking chapter 55 is going to be, like, the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I'm reading chapter 54, and I'm like, what the fuck is going to happen next? Like, I don't get it. And then I read 55, and I was like, okay. Like, I get it.
Like it's right, but
don't
it's the
get
lead
it.
up. It's
Yes.
the lead up that gets to that.
It's the payoff. I mean, but I'm not in it. Yes, I read smut and spice, but, like,
But you want the lead up.
I want the lead up. I want the
Emotions
the
and the
holy
feelings
shit,
and
everything coming together, and her finally knowing, and him bearing his soul to her, and then saying, then eat, like, just fuck me right in the heart. Lord have mercy.
It's so good.
So
I've never
good.
reread ACOTAR, so I am very excited. I probably won't get to it till next year, I bet. But I am excited. I think I needed a little bit of a break. Not like it was bad. It's just like after talk.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, there's
I
no
even
way.
took a whole year off.
Yes,
I didn't do
I'm
my
like, there's-
reread until this past summer.
I'm like,
so.
there's no way I can
And
just
I know
go back in.
we skipped a whole bunch leading up to chapter 54. Like, there was just so much, like, with the wedding scene and Reese coming and her throwing the shoe. I mean, meeting the inner circle.
The shoe,
it's just
that's
shoe.
what I always highlight. Like, when I see things and someone mentions that, I'm like, see, now we're talking the same type of moments in the book that we both like.
Yes, and then we get my favorite to show up, the cereal, and just the tea.
I love
the tea that he spills, and Farrah's like, excuse me, say what? And he's just like, he didn't tell
those
me.
cheekbones.
I'm just like, his cheekbones are very nice and high and beautiful.
It's a girl.
It's a guy. It's fine.
A girl. No, I love it. I literally, that's why I
so
made the
good.
little statues for us, because I was like, oh my gosh, I love the cereal.
I love him
Honestly,
so much.
I would read a whole spinoff just about
I would too.
the cereal, and we'll get to that one. I have one for Mort. I mean, I just said it. I said I have one for Tog too, but Mort. I would read everything about Mort the Door Knocker. Clearly, I really would.
Me too.
I know that's
Let's be
going
serious.
next, but I definitely would.
And then obviously ACOTAR is just like a book full of like action. I mean, the ending of ACOMAF
And
is, like,
information.
I was like, those last 100 pages of every SJM book is just a mind fuckery. So the last 100 pages of ACOMAF was just break the bond, like fuck my life right into my soul and rip it out. But then the start of ACOTAR and witnessing Farrah's just withering away.
I'm like,
and it grinds
all
my
in the
gears, you
name of
guys. Like, I
deception.
yes, but her escape with Lucian was just so good.
that gave him points. I
It
won't
did.
lie.
It gave him a lot of points.
But I was I mean, I don't hate on him like some people do.
I don't hate on him.
I'm not. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't hate on him in the way I hate on other people. Like, just,
Right.
You know what I mean? But I don't ever remember having a very strong.
Do I think he's like
the end all be all?
perfect and
No.
and like has nothing to say I'm sorry for, I made mistakes? No, he could have done
No.
more for her.
Do
and
I think
made
he's
better
going to get
choices,
hotter
but
when we finally get this next book and it's Elaine and his epic enemies to lovers story and he's going to have to go through a Princess Diaries makeover and he's going to come out with short hair? I do think he'll be hotter then
Yes.
because he's
I'm all
half
for
fucking
that.
cyborg. I feel like, I know he's not, but like I don't know. I just with the scar, I'm just like, you need short red hair. Like I
Yes.
need you to have short red hair. I can't even explain to you how much hotter you'll be. It makes no sense because it's not like he's ugly now.
right. No, he's good. I like him.
It's just the metamorphosis of it all.
It is. But then we have the Illyrian warriors coming to save them on the ice, and that's when I'm just like,
That's honestly
hello,
one of my
Cassian,
favorite.
welcome
That's like
back.
one of
Welcome
the
back.
best. That's one of the best. I love Az.
Honestly, I get a little teared up at that because, like, him and Farrah's moment of like he missed her, and
He was like, "That's my friend. I've been waiting
Yes.
for you.
so
My high letter."
that is his high lady, and so I love that whole part of that book. I love
Az gives me my favorite moment, though. Like, probably one of them out of the whole series when he is like, because it's like, don't talk. It's one of my favorite micro-tropes.
at the meeting.
Yeah, he's like, don't talk to my high lady like that. And I'm like,
Yes.
I just recently learned that was one of my favorite micro-tropes, so...
I know. I was very impressed that he was the one that stood up to
because
Tamlin
he's
at
so...
the
Yeah,
meeting.
he's a little more
'Cause he's just,
reserved.
he's
and
in the shadows,
I mean,
like,
his shadows see
watching
all, but...
everything. Yes.
His
But
shadows
he's
see
not
all, but his
really-
shadows aren't the one that's standing up and talking. He was like, listen, you little stupid-ass punk.
Listen here,
Talk
you
to-
baby back bitch.
Yeah, you talk to my high lady like that again, you want to see what these shadow hands can do?
Yes. But there was so much action in that, and then we got Papa Archeron coming in during the war, like the speech
Tears.
before that, like the tears. I am a
Tears.
daddy's girl. So when we had Papa Archeron
Tears.
coming in, like, again, was the man perfect? No.
No.
But he came back, and I just was bawling my eyes out when he came sailing in on Three Ships. Do you remember that song growing up?
Yeah.
I saw Three Ships come sailing
Sailing in
Oh,
the-
Lord have mercy.
the morning.
But then from there on till the end, it's just like one thing after another. You get Cassian and Nesta's like saying goodbye to each other essentially, and then you have Elaine coming out of nowhere and being a badass with
Ooh,
True
excuse me.
Slayer, and oh my gosh, it's just
Truth Slayer. I always forget the name.
yes.
I don't know why, but I just think it gets mixed up in my jumbled mess. Truth
all right.
Slayer.
Truth
I like
Slayer.
to think that I have, whichever I'm reading at the time.
Whatever blade you need to call
I'm
upon
like,
is right
whatever
there.
blade I need to call upon, I have it.
And then we have at the end of that one where Reese dies, and
I can't.
I'm just like,
I was worried because I was like, you teased us book one,
I know,
and now
I
we're
really
coming
felt
full,
like it was happening
full
for real
circle.
because she
Yeah.
wasn't gonna do the same thing again. I'm like, she's not gonna pull this thing
God
twice.
damn it. And then you have to give Nesta her flowers. And I'm like, oh,
Yes.
no. I don't like giving her anything.
I know.
give her an inch, and it's Cassian. So I give her 10 inches, that fucking
so.
bitch.
How many inches we talking? And I know Frost and Starlight gets a lot of shit from people.
It's
and
cute.
Is it
It's just cute.
earth-shattering? No, but it's
fluff.
just
It's
great
fluff in
though.
a world of craziness, you know?
Yes.
It's like, what do you want her to do, right? How on Christmas, when the snow is falling and they're supposed to be decorating a tree, there's more death? No. We needed a fucking chill pill.
Yeah, so
We
I
needed
got
drunk
lots of
friends.
like, yes, drunk antics between the inner circle, like,
Snowball fights.
yes, so much fun. But then we have Nesta being fucking Nesta and an asshole to Cassian and throwing his gift in the river, and I just wanted to punch her. And Lord have
She
mercy,
sucks.
she's the worst. My man,
And
does
I'm not saying
deserve
that
it
she's
at
not,
all.
and I'm not
Like,
saying
she
that she's
can-
not needed. She's needed for
She
the
is
story.
needed.
But like, don't tell me that she's not a bitch. She can still be your favorite, but like, she's a bitch. She is not
Yes.
nice. She is a mean girl. And that's why she has the fucking epic powers she has. So I hate when people are like, no, she can't, what? Her character art, so she's not a negative 5,000 bitch. We're like a negative 500 territory. That's a lot of growth. But we're
She
still...
had to take something from the cauldron, okay?
Right. And it's like not even all the way her fault, but like, don't come at us and be like, she's not. No, she is. And
She
we
is.
still can appreciate her for what we need her to do in the story. Okay, folks? I don't like when people try to tell, no.
Yeah.
She's not nice.
Which leads us into Silver Flames when all I want to do and yell the first 100 pages of that book is, you're not the only one who lost their fucking father. Like,
You know how I feel. I feel
Lord.
like that when she was going in. I'm like, listen. If you
Listen
don't go in
here.
that fucking cauldron a little quicker, I don't give two fucks who you're pointing at, okay?
I'm
Piss
just like,
me
okay,
right the fuck off.
I can get the grieving and the anger and the sadness and all those stages of it. Like, I get it, but I just, at a certain point, I was just like,
Yeah,
you're
when my dad died. Are you?
driving me insane.
It's
yeah.
the way I was like, so a female is now added to my punch list. Girl, I was like, no. Because I would have went ape shit. Can I just be honest? If
Yeah.
because I am the youngest, if my older sister was acting and was like, well, my dad died when our dad died.
Right.
Oh, she doesn't even fucking want to know if I have magical powers, okay? Because I would go crazy on her ass. What kind of statement is that?
And she said it multiple times, and just every time it just like escalated more rage, and I'm just
By
like,
the end, your eye is twitching.
yes, I'm like, I can't handle this anymore. Walk another 10,000 steps and come
Yeah,
back to me. I
no,
don't know.
literally. How about you go climb that mountain again because you're an epic bitch every time you say that line. 10 more, 10,000 more every time you say your dad died when there's 3 of you. Okay.
Yeah.
God.
But I appreciate her journey, and
We need her.
We need her. She
We need her.
Does her job well.
Yeah,
as
you
Lady
can't
Death,
just have all the same
like-
kind of people in your court.
Right.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Correct. And I'm the biggest proponent of you don't need to be surrounded by all yes people. You need people that are going to challenge you and push you and make you better. And so Nesta serves her
Always.
purpose, and she is, I think, good. Like, she has goodness in her heart and is wanting to look out for the humans. Like, she has goodness. It's just
she's just a mean girl overall.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do?
I struggle with that. But Cassian delivers one of my favorite micro-tropes ever. Quickly this year become top of my list. Do you know what I'm going to say, Father Lib?
I'm like, would you like to inform the people?
My new favorite micro-trope, for those who don't know, is men who are jizzing in their pants.
I
And
said
I
that
have
perfectly with you.
no you did, you nailed it. And I have no shame admitting that. Like, I see
What's the
some-
shame? Who cares? That's hot.
Exactly. I fucking eat that shit up. They were so
You
turned on
you
by
were so
getting
turned on
their
by
woman
me.
off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Immediately, you're a green flag. Immediately.
I'm not going to be able to recall it right now. I could probably look up my text message, but one day Rebecca was asking me if I had different ways to say it, like, better, like more PC, and I came up with like 4 different ways to say that within like 2 seconds, and I fired those all back, and I was like,
this way and this way and this way and this
I
way.
am really proud of myself right now that I just was able to come up with that on the spot. She's like, that is impressive. I'm like, I know. So Cassian does deliver that to us, and I eat him up that whole book, and Asriel's there giving us some comedic relief. He's helping train the Illyrians, or the Valkyries, sorry, ladies. So yeah, that Gwyn and Emery I thought were a nice addition. I love the House of Wind book club. I have a sweatshirt that is the House of Wind
sticker.
book club.
I know.
So yeah, so I love
Morgan's
that their
a
friendship.
traitor.
Oh, I didn't know when that was going to come up. Okay.
Stupid bitch. I hate you,
Are
you
we
dumb
going to
bitch.
segue to that? We can. We
Sure,
can segue
yeah.
to that.
That was my segue. Why is
Okay.
she such a dumb traitorous bitch? I'm like, you want to talk about bitches? At least Nesta's a bitch to your face. I give you more points for that. Morgan's just a straight up lying, deceiving, manipulative ass bitch behind everyone's back because she's the truth keeper. Fuck off. My gosh. That's what pisses me off more. I would take Nesta
See,
any
now,
day.
I understand your theory and I see what you're saying, but like, I don't have strong opinions either way.
I think the only reason I think mine are so strong, I mean, there's multiple reasons, but I did not like her when I read it. And I had no one to talk to about it except my mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was before Bookstagram. I started, like, so, and reading it, I was like, she sucks. Strings this man along who's a shadow daddy.
That was
because,
my
like,
only
you
problem,
know,
was she wasn't honest with her friends.
then she
that
has
she would
other
know
pe-
that wouldn't
you know,
judge her and love
yeah,
her for
then
who
she has
was. Like, I just,
other
like,
men on
you're
her
doing
little
a disservice to your closest friends.
Then you
like,
have
I didn't
other
like
men
that.
in your little black book, and you decide to pull your black book out when you're pining somewhat, you know. And I do have other thoughts about that, but these are my first like read thoughts before I could sit on it. Because my thoughts about like Az have changed a little bit. I think like he might not be pining for her. He might be using his shadows because he knows the truth, but she's a truth slayer, a truth teller. So I think she keeps a lot of people from telling the truth. And so I
Okay.
don't always think that he's like falling for her. I think he's always like watching her because he's like, you stupid
Keeping
bitch.
tabs on her.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I think that our third Archeron sister is the catalyst. Like, I know everyone has their thoughts. I'm not saying she's not annoying and doesn't cry a lot, but like, I also am annoying and cry a lot. So what do you want me to say? Like, I just think like her third seeing eye, like, I don't even know what all it can do, but I do think that like that's the plot we were leading to, and it makes the most sense in my head before like everyone else's theories came in. I was like, you have it all third seeing eye, so someone's deceiving everyone. And then if I peel back, I was like, okay, it's probably the Morgan.
Yeah.
She's so infamous. You know, she's just so infamous, and everyone has to, are you the Morgan? I'm like, no, bitch, she's annoying the fuck out of me right now. She gives me, this is a weird comparison, sorry, but she gives me like Sabrina Gallo vibes.
Okay.
And I don't like Sabrina Gallo.
I don't
And
either.
that's who the Morgan is. If we had to say, who
All
are
right.
we hooing? Me immediately. Annoying, stupid girl.
Yes, I know, and I do think there's definitely
she's
more
so
to come
old,
from
right?
that with
Isn't
Eris
she
and
old?
his not telling people exactly what's happened and stuff. So
Like, why?
yeah.
Because everyone always says, like, it's not my story to tell. Well, then whose fucking story is it then?
Right.
Who?
And why aren't they telling it? Like,
right. Because if all of you guys have to tell me that it's not my story to tell, go ask Morgan. I'm like, what are you doing? You've clearly made all these men sign NDAs. I'm like, what's going on?
So yeah, I love ACOTAR. It is near and dear to my
so
heart.
good.
It's an
It's so-
emotional read now to me. It's a comfort read now, and I love it. And I'm still needing to get my ACOTAR tattoo. I have it planned out and everything,
I am
but
gonna
I
get
just
some,
haven't.
I do think I'm
pulled the
going to get
trigger to do
something
it.
for it.
Are you?
I just don't know. Yeah, I haven't thought it. Like, I haven't planned anything out. Maybe I'll have to draw something up for us.
Yeah,
I'm like, maybe sooner rather than later.
maybe.
I'm like, stay
I'm
tuned.
always up for it.
You know me. I'm like, we might have a girls trip coming up, and we might be filming a podcast together in the same room.
maybe.
I know.
All right,
ACOTAR
Lib.
is really good.
I could keep
And
talking
I
about
do
it, but I
agree.
feel like we
Forever.
should move on.
Yes.
So
I just want to quickly talk about like 2 series before we do the last little deep dive. Not deep dive, but our last little bigger talk on Fourth Wing and Tog. I'm really going to try to keep Tog short because I can't start and then like we'll be here till
That
midnight.
will go on
And
forever.
we'll be like,
Yeah.
and that was book 1. And you're like, oh God, not a dissertation. I think I said it in the beginning. One of the only fantasy series I ever really read before I like really started diving in with ACOTAR is the Blueblood Vampire series by Michelle Hercules. And you guys, you're gonna be like, you're so stupid for this thought process, but I can't help the way my brain works and processes things. But I picked it up because I was in college bully romance land, and so it recommended it to me because they're like a fantasy college, like it's amongst the real world, but like it's the Bloodstone Institute for like magical beings, and there like are some bully tendency moments. But I read it because I was like, vampires aren't fantasy, and I know you guys are like, what are you talking about? But I can't describe it. It's just like my brain isn't like they're walking among us so they're fantasy. It's like, no, they're walking among us so that means like they're human and real, like, you know what I mean? And I know it doesn't make sense, but that's how I led there. And then I was like, this is so good. The audio, because that's how I done them my first time. The audio is done by Tor Tom, or however, and he's Luca Delamorte. And the first time he started speaking, I was like, oh shit, there is a 500-year-old vampire king who I am daddy.
Yes,
He's
daddy.
So amazing. I actually just recently got the special editions from the UK, so I'm going to show them but like, look how beautiful he reminds me of Reese from a little bit from the like character art. But Luca Delamorte is the vampire king, and they have to go to sleep for long ass periods of times because their magical powers are dwindling and they can't hibernate as long. And he's old as fuck. I actually think he's like 5,000. He is old, like an old ass motherfucker. And who does he fall in love with? Like, that's where it also
so
an
it's
age
a big age gap is
But
what
like,
you're saying.
like that fucking matters. Get out. He was turned at 18, so I don't want to hear it. But like, I know my brain doesn't make sense. It's like, it completely just does what it wants. You know, so I can't remember exactly. Oh, Vivian. And that's how he says it the whole time. And you're like, that's stupid. Sister Britt knows. I get these random audiobook moments or lines that will stick in my head for my whole life. And Luca Delamorte is even Vivian. It's just like one of them. Her brother is a stupid little boy and gets into some bad crowd. So then she has to go to this nightclub because vampires always have nightclubs. And he's like, just had woken up and she's there because she's like, I'll go and get information or pay his debt. And oh girl, now you're in the sights. And then we find out that they're fated mates and it's crazy town. And so I do think that this is a great like setup because you're learning a lot about the school because she's a human. So she's like has quite a lot of questions, and the spice is really good. These are spice. This is not young adult.
That's open.
This is open door. And this one isn't the spiciest like out of all of them, but like this is 100% open door. They are grinding and gyrating all over each other in the first chapter. You know what I mean? Like, we are in it. So then you get to book 2. And this is, and I just realized these were signed, and I know you're probably like, what? But that's how much of a shelf trophy the beautifulness are. Then you get to she's a witch, and oh, let me show you. She's a witch, and here's a werewolf, and you are not allowed to be with anyone else unless you are a witch. A witch has to be with a witch to keep the bloodline strong. But what do you do when you're literally fated, a fated mate link to a wolf, and then someone hexes you that anytime you go near your mate, you're shocked? So then what do you do when your wolf is in crazy heat? The man, not heat, but like he's in his just crazy wolf time by the full moon. And he goes, I will literally go into crazy. He says something like, I will have a heart attack going into shock if it means I get to be near you. And boy, is that fucking electric. Violet Sorengale could never. Like, there's so much. I was like, he's gonna die. Your tongue's gonna fall off, bro. Like, good spice. But then we get to my favorite, and she's the thickest. And I just want to say, they are my favorite. This is her younger sister.
Is that a blondie?
Yes, and isn't it insane? This is the witch's younger sister, so she's also a witch. But what you learn is she's actually the most powerful, and everyone thinks it's her older sister because of her knowledge and all of this. And I can't even remember what he is. I think it's a vampire. I love it for her. Like, she is epic. They go into a magic, like, Snow White mirror portal, and they go to the land that's all this magic originated from, and that's where she learns that we've been waiting for you, like, you're everything, and oh my God, he loves her. He's Rowan. He's like, wherever you go, I'm going, even if I have to fly. You know, he's like, I am there.
Just tell me where to go, and I'm there.
They're fated mate. All of them are fated mates. You get to those. And then I won't lie. I hate this man. And you might be thinking, then why are you suggesting it? Because so many people, this is their favorite. They used to be lovers. Then they got split. Because she's a witch. She looks kind of like Manon. She's very pretty.
Does. He looks kind of like Lucian.
Yeah, I just was realizing that. So, and then they like have to go on some epic journey. I really can't remember. There's that month. I didn't like him. She's great. Then the one I don't have, and spoiler alert for everyone, is this one ends on a cliffhanger. It's why it's so tiny. So then you come back with book 2 for them. I don't have it yet because it came out in this fall, in this edition, and that's where you finally start to like him. But I'm not telling you that to deter you from it, because I think a lot of my friends that have read it are like, he's my favorite. Go with that as you will. I get tired of it's been 10 years. We still hate each other, but we also still randomly fuck, and then you know what I mean. I'm like, come on, that's where I'm like, we have got to pick. You're either going to fucking hate me or you're going to get over it, you know? And so This first one is a lot of that, the first part. But then with book 5, it's so good. But like literally, you're reading the whole series to get to this book 3. It's so good. I love it. Can't recommend it enough. And I'm a sucker for good drama if they're going to be in college. And so there is, not that you can't even tell they're in college because they're all fucking a million years old with you know what I mean? But I like that there's always like a little bit of like, well, we have class, you know what I mean? What about class? Or like, what about the other people on campus seeing us? I'm just like, oh my God, but like I'm eating it up. I'm like sitting there like, what about them seeing you? What about it? It's really good. I really like it. And then the other one, I talked about a little bit, the Powerless Trilogy by Lauren Roberts earlier. It's just so good. It's like a purging trials, a death game trials type situation. Enemies to lovers, epic banter. The saddest book I've ever read in my entire life is 1.5. And don't think, oh, well, that means I can skip it. Wrong. Because everyone that skipped it and then read book 2 that came out was confused a smidge because you were like, I'm kind of confused. Right. Because important information.
Novellas are important.
Right. Because important information is in it.
You should know this by now.
And I understand, spoiler alert, if you don't want anything about the series, because this will spoil it. But I understand that a lot of people didn't want to read book 1.5. It's not like you don't know what 1.5 technically is. You already know she dies in book 1. Now you're going back in time to see her life, how she dies, because she's the main girl's best friend, but they're still alive. Like, it's a tragedy. There's not an HEA. She does not get an HEA. Adina, no. But like, there is the most important information in that book. And if you don't read it, and if you read it and don't think that, that's okay. Because I do pick up on things. But I'm telling you, I will be 100% shocked and I will eat my words if it comes back and it is not exactly the plot that I think that's going to happen. In the best way. I still want to read it. I still think it's going to be great. But I'm telling you, you meet a character in that book that's going to change the whole direction of the whole world that we're being led into for this book 3. So I'm just like, you guys got to read it. I know it's sad. It's beautifully written. It's perfect. It's a tragedy. I mean, it's Romeo and Juliet. I mean, it's tragedy. You know what I mean? It's tragedy. It's terrible. You have to read it.
It's short. It's a short
Yeah, and it is
tragedy.
short, and it really is beautiful. And the lead up to everything and it's not like you're getting sad and then there's more. You're getting everything, and it's literally the death, and the book is over. You know what I mean? 2 more lines and the book is over. No one wants to keep reading without it. You know, keep going. That's why you have book 2, and then we'll have the end in book 3. So that's the best. And I do recommend The Veiled Kingdom, also for good banter, and also if you want a little bit of a love triangle aspect. And I know there are people who are like, no, but it is really good, especially for the fantasy of it all. Think this is for like my Vampire Diary girlies, the people who didn't know if you wanted in True Blood her to pick Bill or Eric. Like, it's the Twilight moment. It's literally only book 3 of Eclipse of, is it Jacob or is it Edward? But we are getting it. But it's not so much epic angst that you're like, I don't even know who to pick for. There is a clear, obvious choice. But the way that the book is being wrote, and because of the hierarchy system of how this is all playing out, the love triangle is like a forced play, and 2 people aren't happy about it, but someone's controlling the third side. And that's why it is a great love triangle. It's a forced love triangle. There is a higher person controlling the rest of the sides. And that's where I'm like, give it a try, even if you don't like love triangles.
I don't love them, as we know, but I do have it on my TBR.
Because I would just tell you guys, like, yes, like it's a lot, but there is a ringleader, and then there are 2 people left at the bottom of this triangle that are like, how did we get into this mess? And we can't get out of it. But we're left now at the epic cliffhanger, and I'm ready for book 3. But it is really good, and I did just want to mention that one too. But I do want to talk about it for the last little bit. Fourth Wing.
Oh, Fourth Wing.
Now, we probably will have a deep dive episode on this, I'll be honest, but it's so dear to my heart. I really am trying not to get emotional, because this is the one, even I think if you took away Tog, I love this book so much, and I love this series, and I think that it does get a lot of praise, obviously, but I think that the reason that I love it gets a lot of hate, and that's where it makes my feelings get a lot of hurt, because we all know I'm a girl's girl, but this is like, without a doubt, a book about a girl, like, you know what I mean? Like, and so I think when we got to a little bit to Iron Flame, we'll obviously backtrack, but I think when we got to Iron Flame and we started learning more about a girl being a girl with her emotions, and then people were like, you suck, that's where I was like, you guys are missing the whole point of how we literally even started it. Anyway, Violet Sorrengail.
Violet.
I do just want to show for our visual that hers is also works for Harry Potter, but this is for Violet. And I know people are like, you never get a tattoo for a book 1 character. If Fourth Wing never got picked up for a second book or nothing ever came out of it, I would still love Fourth Wing, book 1, in its entirety, and Violet Sorrengail in its entirety. Nothing will ever change that for me. Even I think if she turned into a Nesta at the end, Fourth Wing changed my life like a little bit. I don't think it was a soul changing as Tog, but I think it changed how I see myself. I have so many chronic health issues, and I have so many mental health issues, and I have been looked at my whole life and been like, you're too much, or you're not enough, or there's too many problems, or try harder, or try less. I mean, everything. And I know a lot of people have, but when you have the chronic health issues and the mental health issues thrown on top of it, it's just like a whole other layer of exhaustion. So when I was starting to read Violet Sorrengail, who is right away said, but you are broken, and you were born early, and you are fragile, and who is even going to try to help you when you are an easy target? And I thought, holy shit, in one chapter, I've never felt like all the way sucked in. I wish I could say I could fully all the way 100% connect to Aelin, but I think there would be like a 20% disconnect. Obviously, she's gone through other things, and same with Violet, but just the true like mental health and the physical health aspects that's constantly brought up, but she keeps overpowering them, and she finds her own ways, and she goes about things in a way where she can get it, and then she's always the best, and she's always on top, or enough for her. And
right, like her ability to critically think and like get herself out of situations is
I like to think that I am
impressive.
a critical thinker. She's smarter than me, clearly, but I like to think There's just so many it's the little things. It's the quoting random facts when you're terrified. Hi. It might not be random facts, but it's once upon a time in a kingdom long since burned to ash. Like, I just start pulling book quotes out, and I don't know. I don't have to tell you about the book, but I just want to say, like, that is why I love it so much, and I will always ride hard for it. And I think when we get to Iron Flame and people are like, oh, so you like Violet, like stupid, like she's Nesta. And I've heard that probably 10 times, and I've seen it, and I don't understand, truly. Because this is all Violet's book, as far as we know. This is her series. I mean, it could change. And I'm not saying that anything's wrong with ACOTAR. I'm getting that clearly. We love it. But to compare Violet to who is like the one book, not like she's important and everything, but she has her one book and done, and she's a literal bitch. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? I don't like that. Like, I don't like that people are like,
they're
oh, well,
comparable in my
and they're
opinion.
saying that because people think that she's 100% in the wrong in book 2. But I'm not saying, and I don't even want to debate that. It's just like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you would completely turn on her when she's done nothing except handle it like a girl would. An 18-year-old girl would handle it. Nesta is a little bit older, and she became a full fucking fairy. I'm not saying that I'm fae, but I'm not saying that she doesn't have dragons attached to her. But you know what I mean? I just don't think they're comparable.
No, not at all.
And so when people look at me and go,
that.
oh my God, you still are a Violet fan? What are you actually fucking talking about? Yeah. I like Fourth Wing for the main character.
Yes.
Correct. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, what do you mean? So she goes to Basgiath War College. Her sister is a badass. I honestly can't remember her name right now.
Mira.
Mira.
That's how I pronounce it. Again, these are how Brittany
That's how the audiobook said it. That's how the audiobook said it. Her sister's a badass, like a very well-known writer and commander and all of the above. And she's trying to be like, you cannot send this fragile girl into this Basgiath War College where she will die. She will die. And because she's not letting her pick one of the reasonable things that she can do under her scope, as in a scribe or what is it, healing. Potions, or a writer.
I think she was always thinking she would be a scribe, though.
A scribe, because her father was a famous, well-known scribe, but her mom is Lilith Sorrengail, ultimate right-hand man to the commander of all of the riders in the army that rules this little land. So our girl gets thrown literally to the trenches. I mean, she's packed a bag full of books, and her sisters goes, so this is how you're gonna live. We get a fun little book and play that I love. I think those chapters and those little excerpts from the Book of Brennan is just incredible. I really liked that lead up to all of it. And you meet, and she has one fucking rule. This older sister has literally one rule. Do not talk to Xaden Ryerson. She said, bet. Hey, so like, you're Xaden Ryerson, right? I'm like, oh, you didn't even try. I mean, it's not her fault. I get it. He was behind her, but like, girl, you didn't even try. So we have some enemies to lovers, crazy fucking characters. Dane.
Fuck off.
Jack Barlow. We have great friends we're meeting. Liam and Imogen and Ridrick. All of these fantastic side characters. It's epic. I've never read Dragons like this, clearly. I mean, I don't think really anyone has, unless you're reading like unless it's like, it's not J.R.
Game of Thrones,
Martin.
but it's not.
That, yes, Game of Thrones, and there's like one more, but this is so different. I mean, I have seen 5 seasons of Game of Thrones. I haven't watched, I didn't wait, and that's another day's topic. Winter never came, and don't tell me it came because within the 5 seasons it didn't come, and that's the only time strength I had to give that plot line, okay?
Winter did come, Libby.
But not for 5, but in the first 5 seasons where that's all we were talking about, you had to get me within 5 seasons, and they did not. But I've never read something that's clear. I mean, it's dragons. This is like Avatar-style dragons, and I mean that in the best way. I mean, you're completely life bonded.
I was
to
so
your
excited
dragon,
that I mean, it was obvious, but like I was just so excited that I like picked up on that she was going to have 2 dragons at like the first mentions of both. When Tyrion was first mentioned, I was like, "That's your dragon." And then in Darner's mention, I'm like, "That's also her dragon."
Oh, for sure, I knew. It's just so good. It's so book 1. I think I'm giving spoilers. So obviously, we're giving spoilers, but I also we want people to still read them. But it's not death games, I guess. It's just like a death trial, but this is the first.
Yeah,
it's like the
right?
first.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the threshing where the drag. But this is like the first team-based death game, death trials that I think I had read. You know what I mean? But it's not an all or nothing. I mean, you can lose some, but like the goal is to get across with your team. You need your team. You have to complete things with your team. And all of these people low-key kind of, I mean, they're not all hating each other, but sides are drawn very quickly. People don't like each other. They're still 18, 19, 20-year-olds. We're in college, folks. I mean, clearly it's different stakes, but you have to think. These are kids doing crazy-ass shit and war with dragons, and they still only have their brain, no matter what year we're in. They're still 18. So I think a lot of the humor is great in this book because they're young, and that's exactly what they would say. I mean, Riddick is exactly what I imagine and remember an 18-year-old boy being like. He says exactly what comes to his mind. There are always a lot of suggestive, provocative thoughts, but also like you have girl gang, you got your girl besties, you have your whole gang of besties, bonds that are tragic when you learn they're not what you think they are. Oh God, I cried in this one. And all of this leads us, God, hard. I thought I was gonna die. Little did Libby know that Iron Flame was coming in with a double whammy. Turn it, and then there's something sticking out of my back as well in Iron Flame.
Let's be honest, though, I cried in both books as well. So So all
of that amazingness, and it is amazing. And I wish I mean, there's just so many things she's the biggest thing I have to tell you about book one is like, you have to remember that she is weak, and it sucks to say it, but she is, but she's learning and adapting quickly. What are my strengths? How do my strengths outweigh these dumb idiots here? Because she's read her whole life. She's supposed to be a scribe. She's 100 times smarter than these people. So she starts to use her brain power and her books and all of her knowledge in the Book of Brennan to start winning all these things that she knows she can't, but there's no rules that says you can't just be fucking smarter. And and that's where I think is
you guys.
Right. And that's what I think is so awesome is that she's like, where does it say that? Like, you can get mad all you want, Jack Barlow, but where does it say that I can't just outsmart you? And so I think that's where the ending is wrote perfectly, because we are all blindsided. This is not, I mean, maybe people saw it coming. I was blindsided. I did not think that right now at this point in the book we were going to get, the ultimate betrayal. In a bad way too, like an accidental reveal of the betrayal. This bitch wanted to let the betrayal go on. They met at the wrong time. They came too early. The meetup spot was compromised because of all the other bullshit going on. But he fully was ready to be like, let's commit to the bit, which is where I'm pissed. And I think that a lot of people move on too quickly. And I get that time passed and you love them, but that's where I put myself in these books and I get too attached to these characters because I'm pissed. In Iron Flame in book 2, you ruined everything. You lied to me, everyone. And that's the thing, right? I think a lot of times I can forgive men when they lie, right? Because you're dealing with a small town or something or a billionaire and they're like, yep, you lied, you fucked up, let's grovel and move on. Every fucking person that was her friend lied to her, including her own family member. That I won't spoil. That's crazy to me. That people are like, and then we're gonna be mad at her because she's annoying and mad this book.
This is where I'm Switzerland because I see both sides. Like I didn't hold on to it like you did, but I also understood her upset
person. And people go, no. What do you mean no? Every single person. Everyone knew. And I don't know how to move on from that because everyone knew. And so then a lot of people get mad at her in book 2 because she's a 18-year-old girl who was just lied to and betrayed by fucking everybody, some spanning 10 plus years. And then people want to go, you're annoying and you're a crybaby. Okay, so I would like someone to do that to you, and then I would like to tell you that to your face. I really would, because that pisses me off. And that's where I'm like, I am the girl. I ride for the girls. Why? Why would you hate on her when she is the only one that was being honest and truthful for literally a whole book? A whole book. And people change on her so quick, and that's where I get really, I know I'm a hot topic about it, but I don't get it because I feel like it is exactly my whole life, and that's
feel this like polarizing
I think
way
it's because
her.
it's exactly how people treat me
or what.
No, I don't think anyone's doing it wrong, but I think if you're in her shoes and the people that fully agree with me, we all have been treated this way. You get to a certain point where you're good and everything's fine, but people still treat you differently because they look at you as weak. Well, we had to lie to you. We didn't know if you could handle handle it? How are we supposed to know? It was all for the greater good. Bullshit. You decided something without me because you still looked at me as the girl that was about to walk a parapet. And as someone who has been dealt with so much bullshit and keeps going, and then people still try to take it back to something that I've already overcome because that's how they see me, I can't even explain how fucking pissed off I am about it. But it's such good writing. It's not like I'm mad at the book and mad at the writing. She wrote this book so good that like it's an anger read that I'm gonna reread. I haven't reread it yet because I've been trying. I just like to give things some time. I'm gonna start doing it since
Give it
Onyx.
some space.
Well, when Onyx Storm is about to come out, and I did the same thing. I waited.
Yep.
Well, I reread Fourth Wing actually like 10 times. Don't
yeah.
look at my Goodreads. Stop. It's embarrassing. But I will reread it all, and I will be angry rereading it. And maybe I'll like him a few more in parts, but I think you're supposed to be angry. And I'm not, this is me saying, in my opinion, from what I can tell as a reader who has read over 1,000 books now, I feel like we are supposed to be mad. You know what I mean? You are supposed to, even in the very ending where we're getting that teeny little glimpse, he's even saying like things are still a little standoffish. Right. What do you mean? Months, a whole year, and you lied to me and everyone around me, and you think that just because now we've done 6 months in this book, that or however long, not even that long this time, I'm supposed to just forgive you? Wrong. That's I don't think so. And I know they're bonded and all that, and it's not like I don't want that. It's just like, no, I think you're supposed to be mad because it's literally exactly what has always been done. And even Lilith Sorengale says like, yeah, I've been shoved to the side. There's a reason I'm to the side and I'm not the top commander, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's where my opinion changed on her. Oh God, I have never, besides like what, Lele? Truly.
I cried so hard
I won't
during
lie.
that scene.
I have mommy issues with some real, no, why did that one hurt? Maybe it's because we're girls or maybe it's because we're moms now. I don't know.
Yeah.
But now that we're moms, maybe that is, it's just, spoiler alert, obviously, because I do want to talk about it because it's probably one of the most epic moments in a lot of books I've read, is you hate Lilith Sorengale. The whole time you think, why did you push your daughter that you know can't handle this into it?
Like,
I mean, we learned
very vocal on like she's a see you next Tuesday.
Like she's
let's
a
be
see you
serious.
next Tuesday. She's horrible. She's just doing it because she doesn't want to look bad and all of these things. And then it comes out that she is technically a traitor to her right hand, to her king, to everybody, because her like leader, because she thinks that he's terrible and that he's killed her husband and all this other crazy ass shit. And so then when she tells her all this, and then in front of her children, sacrifices herself till there is literally nothing left except stardust or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know. I bawled. And I mean, I thought I was going to throw up. I'll be honest. I thought I was going to throw up. I was crying so hard, hyperventilating, because that's great writing. You hated her.
It is great writing, yes.
And maybe you didn't hate her, but you did not like her. There
No,
was
I
not
hated
very
her.
many times where she was painted in a good light. Till you do the reread and you realize exactly the type of light she was painted in. A worried mother who has to make sure that she is keeping her child safe. She wanted her to be a writer because she knew she could check in. It's not weird to ask about your daughter that's a writer when you are also the commander of the writers, but it's weird to be a writer constantly checking in on your daughter who's a scribe when you're not supposed to have that much connection. You know, it all starts to just come together in a way where I'm like, so I had to cry and call Brittany
some more.
and be like, I'm not doing well, girl. And I'm excited, true, still. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see what the outcome overall is. I have a lot of theories. I believe since my very first read through, I know what Violet's second signet is. I always thought she would have a second signet since she has 2 dragons. And then when Rebecca Yarros came out and said that she put it into one of the little headers of one of the books, I fully believe I have it. There's no way it's not that.
I agree with you.
We will be discussing
I
that in the
didn't
deep,
pick it up
deep
myself,
dive. In the
you
deep
did,
dive.
and I fully agree.
Yeah, in the deep dive, that will be the most spoiler-filled episode. There'll be one warning in the beginning, and that'll be it.
I'll have to do a reread before we do that one.
Yeah, that'll
I've
be
only
great.
read these once.
No,
so
that'll be
they're,
good.
Not that fresh in my brain, to be honest.
Maybe that's something we could do all together too, and then lead up. Because I know those are a little bit longer, so it could take some more time, but we'll figure something out. But that one will deep dive all the way in. because I have theories about her second signet, what's going on with Andarna, what's going on with Tran and Sigale, and some things that was happening with their past.
Yes.
And I have a full theory that I've never wavered from my first read through about where the end of this series is going to go. And I've never wavered, and you know that.
Yep.
Britt. I have never. So I'm excited about that.
I'm excited for it too.
Before we head out, I'm really going to keep it short. Not everyone. That's not true. And I want to redact that statement immediately. There are a lot of people doing their TOG reread for the very first time. And I'm so honored to have read it and understand the hype now of like being a part of someone's first reread when it's your soul, your whole being. Britt and I, for those that don't know, Sister Britt and I did a complete buddy read, full buddy read, not like we go ahead or any of that, a full.
There was a schedule.
Right, a schedule. We did not, if we had to waver, we got confirmation together that we were adjusting for 8 weeks. For 8 weeks, right?
Yep,
yeah,
it was 8.
For 8
we
weeks.
took some breaks in there.
Right, but the reading,
8 solid weeks.
Was a full 8 weeks of TOG, and oh God, I could cry. Trauma bonded, number one.
Yeah.
I think whoever you read TOG with, you are trauma bonded with, because it's like the most epic journey of like all time right now until ACOTAR is finished, and then I will gladly reconsider, really, because who knows where that's going to go. There's so much left, and I'm excited for that. But as just as a complete series, I don't even think I knew exactly what the fuck I was getting into, if I'm being honest. You hear about TOG and you see things about TOG, and you can skip if you you know what I mean. You can try to skip over things and not know as much, and so I feel like I was like, this is a fantasy series about Fae that's probably very similar to ACOTAR. I was like, and I liked ACOTAR, so why wouldn't I keep going, girl? I just want to go back and be like, you stupid bitch. You didn't know anything. You thought you knew. You did not know.
No idea.
If you have not read TOG and you're like, what is it? I'm like, let me be very careful with my words here, because this deep dive episode there's spoilers, clearly. How do we start? Selena Sardorthian is an 18-year-old slave in the salt mines of Endover. I'm not exactly sure on the pronunciation on that one, because I've seen it 100 different ways. And she's been there
my brain said Endover, but I don't know if that's
thought
right.
Too. So she's been there a whole year already. And before that has had the most tragic upbringing in life ever, and was a paid assassin. Well, kind of, not really having a choice. She's paid to be an assassin, but she also has no choice of her life from 7 until she was thrown into the salt mines. And then that's how we find her, is coming out of the salt mines by this very handsome man. He's so handsome. The High Lord is handsome. How can you not look at the fan art, and be like, the most handsome High Lord.
High Lord.
The most, but he's a prince. She's rescued by Prince Dorian Havaliard and his faithful sidekick and his commander of the guard, Cale Westfall. And they start this epic journey in book 1 of welcome to these new assassin games that my king dad is putting on, and I know your legacy, and I know everything about you and this assassin life that you have, and you are now my competitor. So all of these people from the king's right hand or his little inner circle picks their fighter, and we do different crazy ass challenges, death trial challenges, to see who the king's champion will be. And so keep in mind that Selena has a reputation of being the best assassin, the best everything, and they think that she is a boy. So when they find out she's a girl, we're a little thrown off. We're like, whoa, you lied. You're just some random bitch from the salt mines. So that is a big play, just a big thing, because so then she has to keep that up the whole time. No one wants to know for a while, because we have to keep our competitors on our toes, and the epicness begins. I don't even know how much more to say, except you go on an epic journey, learning all of the other competitors, learning about this new world, because she has no idea. She knows, she's so smart, but she's in it now. She's not an assassin on the sideline. She is pretending and having an identity while 2 boys are falling in love with her. And she's falling in love back, and I don't think that that is a bad thing in that book. I think it is so beautifully written. Wouldn't you agree that you can clearly see why she's in love with both of them because of how they nurture her in different ways?
They both give her different things that she needs.
And then I think with typical growth in books, you get to the end and you're starting to lean one way. You're starting to see what kind of growth and what kind of nurture and stuff she needs more than the other, which then leads you to book 2 where you're really learning. Well, we've started betraying people because we think we're doing what's right or what's the best for them, but she's learning that that's not how she would have done it, and there are other people who agree that that's not what she would have done or how she would have handled it. And I think Crown of Midnight gets a lot of hate and we forget about it a lot, but you would be thoroughly confused without it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where some people,
I don't think you can skip anything. If
you can't.
Someone's like, I'm going to skip Assassin's Blade. No. I'm going to skip Tower of Dawn. No. You can't skip any of it. But, it's all important and relative.
Absolutely. And I think with Crown of Midnight, though, because obviously you keep going in the story, but you really learn. I mean, you fully get your resolution of this love triangle,
Yes.
And even if it's not a resolution you even thought was one of the options, it is a resolution. And big time information. I'm right off the bat is dropped at the end of book 2. Like, the craziest. Yeah. I didn't even think it was that book until you realize it's book 2.
I just had a couple of friends read it, and they were sliding into my DMs, and they're like, "What?" I was just like,
You said hold the phone, right? It's crazy. And a big part of this whole thing, starting from book 1, is the king is trying to find his king's champion, but the king is trying to find a king's champion because the king wants the king. This is so many kings. The king is trying to find the king's champion because the king wants his champion to find the mysterious destroyer of all that is to be his future, Aelin, Ash River, Galathinius. And we're all kind of on a mystery sideline wondering where the fuck this magical being is as well throughout all of this. And as the story progresses and goes on and you meet her and you meet other characters, like you meet Rowan Whitethorn, Manon Blackbeak, her 13. I know what you're going to say. It's not. It's Manon. It's Manon. But Britt and I called her Manon for so long that's what we know it as now.
It is a hill I will die on, people.
We meet, Nehemia, Alentia. We meet all of these crazy, important
Elodie. I still say Elodie. So
yeah.
stupid.
I always say Elodie.
And Irene. I said
Irene,
it right.
Sartak. All of these incredible characters. And I know what you're thinking if you haven't read this. You just listed 100 people and you're telling me that they are all important. Correct.
Yes.
And then you're thinking, that doesn't make sense. Why would anyone write a book series that is this big that... I've thrown a glass down here because I was going to hold it up. But, why would anyone write a book series that big and that confusing? Because it's literal perfection. It is pure genius. I was confused too. Don't think that our public thoughts, folks, are live in a highlight bubble on both of our stories where we are actively hating, actively loving, switching sides, figuring it all out while, in live time as we're doing our buddy read. And I think that's what makes it so iconic is you're always trying to find the next piece. Yeah. Who's important now? Why did we meet them? How did it tie back to the before times, like with Assassin's Blade, which is all of her years before the salt mine, up until this epic conclusion of will Aelin Galathinius save the world? Will she be able to save everyone and all of these Vogue and demon princes and a corrupt kingdom and a corrupt world? I mean, let's get one thing straight. It's a corrupt world out there. And I don't know how it gets beat. And I know a lot of people say that, but I don't know how you beat it. And I read a lot of fantasy still. And it's not like I'm comparing things to Tog. Let's get that things. Tog is Tog. And will there be similarities and crossovers in books? Always. But I don't read a fantasy book and go, Tog, that's not how it works.
Speaking of crossovers, it does have a really nice crossover with ACOTAR.
One of the best things ever, I do think, this will be a spoiler we say right now, is... So I read ACOTAR first, obviously, too. And so you're reading it, and you're reading about Starfall, and this magical moment where they're out on this terrace, like looking out and, you know, you're seeing Starfall and then, you know, just so casually. I can't emphasize enough how casually Sarah J. Maas wrote it. She's like, and then he saw something falling faster and brighter across the sky, and he reached his hand out literally oh so casually, like it was nothing, like he was just brushing the lint off of his shoulder. And then you go and you read 8 books. You go and read like 7 or 8 books of Tog, and you learn that this man who so casually throws his hand out like it's nothing is saving Aelin Ashriver Galathinius while she is falling through the multiverses, and she's passing through Valaris during Starfall. She is a star soul falling on Starfall, which is insanity just in that in its own.
It's just like chills.
Then, we will talk about Crescent City, but it won't have a deep dive, and because it's just not going the way we thought it would, and that's okay. But there are parts of it that I love and will always think are fantastic. And a huge thing is you then start reading Crescent City and realize the lore of Starfall and what exactly it is, because Valaris doesn't know. They don't fucking know. It's a tradition, and they follow traditions because that's the way their olden times works. But Bryce is a fucking badass motorcycle, like, gang fucking fighter. You know what I mean? It's like they know more, and you get a full lore of why there are souls falling and who it is. And then you just think, like, if all of that tied in, and if he wouldn't have reached his hand out, she would have been light. She would have been someone else's power charge up. And I don't think no one talks about that enough. And that's what's insane to me, is if he wouldn't have so casually thrown his hand out, Aelin Galathinius would have been someone's power charge up in Crescent City.
Yep.
That's insanity. The writing alone.
I don't understand how someone's brain comes up with this. Like, it's just epic.
And you're probably thinking, what? That sounds weird. No, like, I can't tell you guys enough how good it is. You'll never see what's coming. It is not true. I did see some things coming because of other fantasy we have read, but that doesn't take anything away from this fantasy at all. But there are so many things you'll never be able to see coming. Some because they're not even on the page, and I'm not even talking about the funny one. Like, I'm talking about, like, vows off page. You know what I mean? Things that are talked about in passing. And I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. It's so good. And I think that's where we'll leave you. I know it was probably still a little longer, but the fact that we're going to have a 3-hour talk episode will tell you just how much I cut that down. It's so good.
I was proud
Thank
of
you. I was really, I'm trying because I do, especially because one of our really good friends is reading ACOTAR. What Jordan reads.
Jordan reads.
She's reading ACOTAR for the first time right now, and she will be a guest on here in the coming months. But and I'm not putting the pressure on her to get through all of TOG, but I don't think our deep dive of TOG will be until probably the new year. And so she'll be done with ACOTAR by the time she's on. You know what I mean? So we will have a good middle ground, and then I can bully her while she's on.
Exactly.
I do that every day. I don't know if she tells you, but every time she posts something about ACOTAR, which obviously Jordan and I, we know each other, and she knows I'm joking, especially because I want her to love and enjoy ACOTAR because it is fantastic. But every time she posts something about ACOTAR, I'll be like, and that's how you're one step closer to Aelin. And she'll be like, what are you talking about? And I'll be like, wouldn't Selena? Like, I throw a different name at her in like every comment, and she's like, what? And I'm like, right on.
Her live updates are giving me life.
They're so good.
My ACOTAR photo album is coming in handy. I send her pictures as she's met people.
You're
so it's so
our
fun.
Lynn. You're her Lynn and M. Oh my God! What a full circle moment.
That's why it's like so cool to
LindyReads and Books by
the reason
M.
I even have a Bookstagram. I don't think I ever said that when I introduced myself, but LindyReads is the reason that I started my Bookstagram.
Yes.
So
and
we have her to thank for our friendship and everyone else here. So
no, for real. Her and Booked by M. With the Beyond the Pages podcast, they are the two that sent us endless. I mean, how many characters? We would, every time someone's name was brought up, we said, "Okay, so what's this, or who's this, or what's this, or why not this?" We would constantly, and they would always deliver.
a visual learner that
Me
I
too.
love the visual depiction of these
Me too.
characters, so I can
And I
at
needed-
least have something right in my head, since their pronunciation of their names are usually wrong.
Yes, and because with fantasy, obviously this one is olden times, obviously, but they're not always all historical, or they're not all historical in the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fourth Wing is technically historical, but that's nowhere near the same fashion and shit as Tog. You know what I mean? And even Tog to ACOTAR, there are vast differences, obviously. So the images and the art, and even not even just character art, scenes, I would be like, what does the glass castle look like?
Right.
What does Terrason's forest look like? I mean, they had them all, and I give them endless praise, because I don't think they ever came back and said we don't have that. They did come back and say, wait, you better wait a
Yes.
goddamn minute, and then I'd be
Don't
like,
you go searching. Okay.
but they were amazing, and they helped us so much and answered any questions, or they always let us, and we had no spoilers
Yeah,
for
we
Tog,
were lucky.
So,
We were really lucky.
and a big part was to them, because if we would have had to start searching the hashtags and stuff, then the algorithm would have popped it up in our feed more. So
I mean, Lindy was even like out there telling me to like unfollow certain accounts.
yes,
just
she would
while
be
I
like,
was-
hey, they make all Tog content, and I'd be like, fine,
Yeah.
I'm gonna unsubscribe until I finish,
We
and
will
then
come back. Yes.
you will be the first to subscribe. But then you're gonna be like, why is this girl liking 100 of my photos in 1 second? Well, I finally finished Tog, so they're the best, and I think that's kind of all I have really to talk about. I mean, I have a few fantasy, like on my TBR. I just got a ALC from Must Love Audio, and it's called Sun Serpent. And I literally know nothing. You know me. I go into books so blind. I saw one
Yes.
trope, and that it was fantasy. And I mean, I read the other ones, but it's like enemies to lovers, fated mates. And I was like, sold. And I feel like Jenna gets the really good audio. You know, she's very good at curating exactly what is such good audiobook. So that's on my TBR, like that I'm doing immediately. And then just ones that in general over the next couple months, because I do filter in fantasy whenever I want, clearly, since I love it. But I have a series called These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. That's a 3-book series that I bought that looks really good. And I have there's Heavenly Bodies, which is like the Under the Mountain. I don't know if you've seen that, or Until the Stars Fall. So I have sometimes Whispers. What's her full fucking Whispers?
Whispers to the Moon 13.
Sorry.
And there's an underscore. I got that.
She
locked
already
and loaded.
knows. She already knows
Melissa.
that. Melissa, I love you. You're amazing, but you're also always Whispers. There's not even any more
I
to
know.
your username in my brain. But she's so good at Fantasy Recs, guys, and literally reads the best fantasy before I even
does.
know there's a new fantasy book out. She's read it and loved it and has a whole review up. So totally recommend her for fantasy. And another one that has really good fantasy recs and a lot of I know they're not the same, but anime and anime fantasy as well is Jin. Do you remember her
Oh yeah, yes. I don't remember.
I can always
her
add it
handle.
in, but Jin's Gems Library,
Yes.
Jin, something like that. I will tag it and everything. But for more fantasy and really good indie fantasy that you've never heard of, she has the best as well. So definitely go give them a follow and a look at, because I'm telling you, those girls are always reading fantasy. It doesn't even have to be October, and that's incredible. Because when I'm ready and in the mood, they are the first two I go to. I go, what are you guys reading? And they go,
Yes.
well, I read this. That's so sad and fantasy, because that's for me, And they're like, I'm like, you guys nailed it. Did you
I
have
am
anything?
excited. Later this month, it'll be coming out right around when this one is airing, or right after.
Yeah.
I'm doing my first vampire read.
I am so excited for you.
Sadie.
Yes, I am
Sadie
beyond
Kincaid.
excited.
She is going into her paranormal, a vampire. Why choose?
I know.
Era, and
If I'm obviously I'm not the biggest fan of Why Choose, but I told Britt, please read this, obviously, and then let me know, because I do like to pick random Why Chooses that I like to have under my belt, and I do think that this is going to be an awesome
I'm
one with the vampires.
excited.
It makes sense for vampires too. I know my brain doesn't make sense, but my brain is they're very sexual people, and they like to share, and this is just one of those moments in time where they're sharing, and I'm okay with that.
yes, so that arc should be hitting my Kindle here in the next week or so, but it's got to get in line in
Yes.
the craziness that is October. And then also on my radar, I just got an email from Lo Everett, who I've read her baseball series,
I'm
is
excited
going
about
down
this.
a new avenue under a pen name Lauren Draven. I'm not sure how. Draven. Okay.
Draven.
With a paranormal retelling of Red Riding Hood. So I
know, and when you were telling me about that, I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
excited too.
I mean, I know it's the time of year and stuff too, but we always have arcs. It's Arcageddon still, folks.
Oh, Lord,
it's Arcageddon.
yeah.
But I do think I'm a mood reader, and I do think that my mood so clearly goes to the holidays. And even when I'm not trying, it's like, oh, you want happier and lighter in the summer. You want fall and spooky in October and November, and then you go full into Christmas. So I'm excited that all these authors are dipping their toe in some new things, because I'm here for it with this spooky season.
I'm loving it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to
the biggest one, and I think maybe for Britt too, the biggest two actually on my radar for fantasy, just so I can get them out. One is for sure with Britt, is A.L. Jackson. Yeah, guys, my small town fucking queen is writing her first ever fantasy book. I can't even explain. I can't even tell you. I just know it will be good. It will be. There's not even an if, ands, or buts about it. I can't remember what it's called. Don't even know if it has a name yet, but it is coming next year. And the other one that I'm maybe even more than AL is Devney Perry is coming out with her first fantasy book, and it's signed with the same people of Rebecca Yarros. And I know that doesn't always mean everything, but that is a great sign.
I take it as a good sign. Heck yeah.
Devney said, I know authors do work on things for long times, but a lot of our author interviews, as you guys will hear, they write quick. They're writing quick. They're pumping stories out. 6 months, 6 weeks. We have timelines. Devney said it's been a long time in the making. So I'm a little worried, because I think I've set my expectations really high, obviously, because she's Devney. But when I hear long time, I'm thinking fantasy hierarchy systems. What is all the backstory and the lore and the details. So I'm pumped that two of my favorite, literally 2 out of top 5 favorite authors of all time decided, hey, coming early of 2025 is fantasy, and bitch will I be in it. Girl, you're kidding. I'm so excited. So if those weren't on your radar, because I know they are kind of newer announcements, please, you guys, I have such high hopes. I'm so excited.
2025 is going to be good.
2025. And we'll still be here forever.
Heck yeah.
Talking. I'm honestly so excited. The random side note, my mom was like, so how long does the podcast go for? Do people get to a certain number and then they just stop? And I was like, no, I think we're going to be
infinity. The limit does not exist, Jenny.
I think we'll be 50 and still sitting here, because that's how many books come out. And she was like, I kind of like that. And I was like, I know, right? Endless book recs for the rest of your guys' life. Doesn't it just haunt you to your core?
Something to look forward to.
All right. Go ahead, Britt. I don't know if there's anything, but just, the drill. Wrap us up. Create something talking, summarizing. Please summarize the episode.
Thank you for tuning in to our discussion on fantasy, where you listen to Libby talk 95% of the time and you listen to me talk 5%.
Make people think that I'm taking over. Why don't you?
Listen.
What do you want from me?
I am your basic fantasy girl. I am still
right,
new
and
to
that's
the
why
genre.
I'm glad to be here helping and talking and giving some
glad
recs.
to be here learning and adding to my
Guys,
TBR.
we have dark romance
we got things to
episodes coming. We have full motorcycle clubs, and who do you think will be talking in those? Because if I'm talking, I'm screaming at you guys in those. So plenty of Sister Bird is coming. But it's spooky season and with fantasy, and I have read a lot. I'm proud of my collection. I didn't even get to talk about literally the other 50% of the fantasy that I've read. So I think it was great.
We'll do a part 2 sometime then.
Yeah, there's always more. So until next time, I'm your host, Father Lib.
And I am your co-host, Sister Britt. Bye, guys.
And we will see you guys next time. Peace and blessings.
Next week. Peace and blessings.
I think it's an author interview.